We have no idea if you guys could hear the music for the countdown whatsoever because it has been working, but I was jamming out to it.
Hell yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Seabass and Paul Batters in the house. We haven't had Paul on the show in almost 3 weeks now. He's been...
That's Paul effing Batters to you.
I'm sorry, it's Paul fucking Batters. He's been down
What's
in
going on,
Texas, living his best life, chasing some large, fat, green
Hell yeah.
fish. And we're pumped to have you back on the show, buddy.
Thanks, man. I'm pumped to be back on. I was telling you earlier, I was like, man, it's been like 3 weeks when I've been on. I kind of feel like a crackhead. Like, I need my fix.
Yeah, I need to get up in here and talk about some fishing.
What's up, Jason? What's up, Ken Barry?
What's up, boys? Mr. Ken stopped by the house yesterday and picked up a shirt. So it was cool to talk to him.
I was
for
just
a
getting
while.
ready to say, I just saw his name. I was like, oh, I'm gonna see him. I'll probably see him Wednesday. So I like a great shirt. But,
He's got his. He's got his. Do me a favor, everybody. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Let's grow our audience. Get some more people in here. Tonight, we're kind of just hanging out. As if you guys read the description, tonight we are just pissing into the wind.
Yeah, talking. We'll talk a little fishing in Texas. We'll talk a little bit about the current conditions of the bay and
Which are
shit,
not good.
garbage.
Do you think it tastes like
straight
Nesquik or like Hershey's?
Maybe like Hershey squirts.
Ooh. I like those. Those are good.
No, they're not. No, that's not good at all. No, it's it's pretty bad right now. If you read in the description, the Susquehanna at Conowingo is running about 300,000 CFS right now.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's a lot. That's like 18 floodgates, something like that.
How many is there? It's like all of them. It's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them, yeah. So, speaking of the Conowingo Dam, I learned something today.
Hey, what's up, Matt? Matt Downs from Trick Tins in the house. Speaking of which, not to cut you off, but while we have Matt here, man, if you guys haven't gone over to Riverboat Rob's Facebook page, Rob Wagner, and checked out what he's done with his tracker, you guys got to go over there and check it out. It
is looking
good.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's looking really good.
Super proud of Rob, man. Like, Rob decided to kind of tear into this boat at, in my opinion, the worst time of the season because it's like go time.
Right.
And he's like, I'm going to tear my boat apart. And we're like, okay.
Luckily, we had a bunch of really bad weather, and
it
looks like he's gonna get done like just in time. But he had his boat like when we say he had tore apart, like tore apart,
and
like,
it lit on fire.
Console out, floors out, decks off, like replaced the entire deck on the boat.
What's up, Dan?
It's crazy the amount of work that he's put into that.
But man, he got a bunch of his hatches from Matt with Trick Tins, and the freaking hatches are so well built and fit perfectly right where Rob wanted them.
Yep.
It completely changed the layout of the front deck of his boat. It's going to completely change how he stores all his gear. Shout out to Matt Downs for getting with Rob, getting Rob some those really nice hatches out. It's flipped Rob's boat upside down. It is a freaking good looking boat. And he's been a big part of helping Rob, help guide Rob a little bit on getting the boat build back together.
We got to get Rob a boat wrap now.
We got to get Rob a boat wrap.
Sick boat wrap on there.
Freaking Trick Tins, Riverboat Rob, Bass and Beer Radio boat wrap.
Just like great big like Riverboat Rob down the side with his little cartoon logo.
You know Rob wants that Charm City skate park on there too.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What's going on, Brian?
It's the B to the Ryan. I drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was B-Rye.
All right. So, speaking of the Conowingo Dam, so I learned something today. So, a friend of mine who fishes the Upper Bay worked at the Conowingo Dam for, 187 years. He retired. So he worked there. And whenever you call, you always hear, we'll be running, 2 small units and 2 large units. So all of those units run the same amount of water. So just because they have, 2 small units runs the same amount of water as 2 large units.
Just how much they open the door?
No, it's the small unit is the amount of megawatts that it produces. So the amount of electricity that it produces. So they just produce a lower amount of electricity than the larger ones. But as far as like the outflow of water, they're the same.
Well, you would think that you would run water through a generator or a turbine that's going to create more power.
Well, they only want to generate as much power
As needed.
as they need. Otherwise, they're wasting it.
Well, I guess it's not bad that they can just run small ones then.
Yeah. So they have 2 small ones, and then they upgraded them. As they put more in, they upgraded them to larger unit. So I thought that was pretty cool. So when you call the old hotline to see how much water is running, and you hear that they're running, they're just running 2 small units. Well, that's not that doesn't necessarily reflect the
2 small
flow.
turbines,
Right.
essentially.
The gates are
the same.
The gates are all the same size.
Yeah. That is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found that out today.
Okay. Good information.
Yeah.
Glad you brought
so.
that to the show. We got to learn something today.
Right. Yeah. So pay more attention to the CFS that they're telling you than how many large or small gates are open. Learn those CFS numbers. That's what's important. There is your one factoid for the day as far as learning. Yeah, I'm going to need one of those too. This mine only lasts.
It is a Bass and Beer Friday. Yeah, Paul.
Mine only
decided-
lasts 4 sips.
Paul bought the midget.
Look at these little.
Coronas.
Look at these little baby Coronas.
Little tiny babies.
Little baby guys.
So you haven't had the chance to see this yet, and it's really not that big of a deal. But I personally think it is like. Hang on, I gotta hit the record button. I personally think this is one of the coolest fucking things ever, just because I am a beer drinker. But dude, this is. We're not. First off, I need to reach out to this company for Bass and Beer Radio because we're not sponsored by them. But this is so cool that I'm gonna just put it out there. This is the draft top, boys. We've talked about this the other week when Tony was on here. But like, Paul, check this shit out, dude.
I wondered why.
Hey, Debbie.
I wonder why there were all these tops of cans laying around. And now you have a cup.
And now I have a freaking. It's a canned draft beer, essentially.
Yeah. Now you have a disposable cup.
But let's think about this. Blue Moon goes great with an orange.
So now you can put your little orange on there.
Now you put your little orange right there on the side of your cup, side of your beer can. Phenomenal. That was $20, and I would buy 18 of them.
That's funny.
Hell yeah.
So, did you do any fishing while I was gone?
I did. Me and Steve went out and tore them up pretty good a couple of days.
I heard it was. I heard there were certain places it was pretty hot.
He said, Riverton Rob.
Riverton Rob.
Said he definitely grabbed the bull by the horns with his tractor. I'm proud of him. Just goes to show what you can do DIY if you put your mind to it. Absolutely.
Evan said that's a lip ripper.
No, dude. Straight up smooth. Like, you can't cut your finger on this.
Where does it?
I don't know how, dude. Like,
look, it just pops the top out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even cut anything.
No, it doesn't cut anything. There is no sharp edges on this at all.
There you go.
You cannot cut yourself on this.
No shit.
It's cool.
That's cool. I do like that. I'm gonna start drinking soda like that.
Yeah. I'll tongue punch this thing all the time.
Too far. So you got to get out, bang on a few?
Yeah, we went out and banged on a few. You know me, Steve was really cranking on him. Yeah. And when I say cranking on him, he was cranking on him.
Yep.
And Chad was just back there throwing a 7-inch swim bait the whole time. It's just
so Steve caught 30 and Chad caught 3.
Steve caught 20 and I caught 1. But you know what? I was having a good time.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
So we were out there. Yeah, so I nailed one. I nailed a good one on your burrito.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Stuck one on the burrito. Hell yeah. So as soon as I got that, I was like, I need to grind this out and get a fish on it. And put a fish on that. That was good. Actually, dude, big fan of Mike Buca's burrito baits.
It's not a Mike Buca bait.
Well, it's an Optima bait.
It's not an Optima bait.
What is the burrito?
Bacca. It's made by Bacca. It's a Bacca burrito.
The Buca burrito?
Bacca.
Isn't that the same?
No, it's a collab.
It's a collaboration.
It was a collaboration. Yeah.
Well, either or, I associate them with Mike Buca at this point because they're on Bullshad's website. Fantastic.
The Gunpowder Town.
Yeah, I would say that. What's up, Tom?
There is. So I went over the Gunpowder on 40 last night on my way, or yesterday afternoon on my way home from the office, and it was super, super high, but it was not dirty.
You can always make your way back to the toilet bowl and find cleaner water.
Yeah, like the main stem of the Gunpowder is clean.
Yeah.
So it's going to be there's going to be cleanish water in that, in that main stem side. Any of those small creeks like that, they always clean up. They dirty up first and they clean up first. Mm-hmm. So backs any of the creeks, you'll find some cleanish water. Or you can just go fish the chocolate milk and try to get a little confidence in it, because sometimes we have tournaments in that junk. So,
yeah.
It's always good to know how to catch them in it.
Let's see. I'm pulling the sponsor banner down because it's in my face.
Yes, Tom. There is a tournament in Joppatown tomorrow. If anybody wants to get in, it's 6:30 in the morning. Be at the ramp 6:30 in the morning. It's $100, $10 lunker, and find Mr. Danny Rodriguez.
Click this link in the comments for Mobile Auto Services and the Boat Pros. Want to say a shout out to John Hansen for being a partner with us through Mobile Auto Solutions and the Boat Pros. That service that will come to you. Check out your cars, check out your boat motors. They do it all in your driveway. If you don't have the ability, they'll come change your oil in your car in the parking lot at work.
Well, think about it. If you need to get an oil change, like you want to go to a local shop. You don't want to go to like your Pep Boys or whatever you want to do.
Jiffy Lube. Ugh.
Right. But you work Monday through Friday. You work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Like you can't get to the shop. Like the shop's open the same hours. How do you get to the shop? Well, they'll just come to you. Especially like if you work at home. You work at home. Have them come to your house.
They
do your stuff, and you don't even have to stop working.
When I sold the Nitro, they came to my house while I was at work and did the lower and pulled the carbs off, cleaned the carbs.
You weren't even here.
I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
Came back, it was all done, shined up and everything, and I got it wasn't incredibly expensive to come to you either. It was completely reasonable in my opinion. Was no worse than it would be if you were to take it to a shop and have them do it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think they charge about the same rates.
Yeah. So Mobile Auto Services and the Boat Pros, definitely check them out. And then East Coast IV, another mobile service and an office that comes to you. East Coast IV, in the title itself, IV. They give out IV bags. They give out fluids, vitamins, minerals.
Have a few too many of these, get you a little hangover cure.
Say you go out on your bachelor party. You get freaking hammered. You're about to get married the next day. You're totally fucked for your wedding.
Go get some fluids, get some,
exactly.
Get some vitamins in you.
Go get some fluids, get some vitamins, get one of them freaking banana bags that hang there. And that's what it's called. And
made me think of banana hammock.
Makes you feel a lot better, man. Phoebe has used them here a few times.
Yeah.
Phoebe was sick. Remember when she had her gallbladder issue?
Yeah.
She had her gallbladder removed, and during some of the issues where she couldn't bring any keep fluids down or anything like that, East Coast IV came out here and actually juiced her up.
Nice.
And kept her feel decent.
Yeah. Keep you hydrated.
So yeah. Shout out to them. That's a great service to use. And one more thing about East Coast IV that I would like to share as far as the fishing community goes. And here's why that I even like the thought of the fishing community being involved with East Coast IV bringing here on Bass and Bee Radio. There's a lot of us that go out and we stand out there in...
Oh, yeah. 90, 100 degree heat.
90, 100 degree heat, 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah.
It takes it out of you.
Don't, just drink beer all day while we're out there instead of drinking water.
Drink water. You got to stay hydrated. Just because you get an IV bag doesn't mean that you don't need to stay hydrated. But you can definitely go out to East Coast IV, get yourself juiced up, get yourself rehydrated on an IV bag, and then go out and fish the next day And I completely believe that you're going to feel better. You're going to be more mentally aware, and you're going to be able to handle that heat load better than if you didn't go get one of those IV bags.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it's definitely, there's a positive to it for some of these big time tournament guys.
And you may not I joke about drinking. I don't drink while I'm out there, but I get, especially if I'm fishing a tournament, like I get so focused on fishing the tournament, I forget to drink water.
Yeah.
Like I just forget. Like it's not a thing to me. That's right. 12 hours. That's only half a day of fishing.
Tell the girl you're only going to be gone for half a
only
day.
gonna be gone
It's
half a
12
day.
hours is half a day.
That's right.
I like it.
So I know I talked a little bit the other night about Texas. There's some things about Texas that I would really like to talk about.
Let's hear it.
So, first of all, amazing fishing. God, it was so great. I mean, we caught a ton of fish. We caught a couple big ones. I had one over 7. Tom had a 6.5. We didn't get any of those like true Texas giants, but we caught some big fish. Got to fish three of my bucket list lakes in the same week. That was cool. I would move there in a heartbeat, and I'm going to tell you why. In the area that we were in, bass fishing is such a part of the community. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Every bar, every business, every restaurant that you go by, they have a bass in their logo. And I'm not kidding. Every one of them. Like, there's a bass as part of their logo. You're driving down the road, you pass more bass boats than you do cars without boats.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And this is when I'm talking like middle of the week. Like that was it. Now granted, we were in the middle of nowhere, so there's not a whole lot extra to do there. But it's such a part of the community. Everybody down there fishes. Whether it be bass or crappie.
Did you know that we have a chat bot? Because I didn't know that we had a chat bot until right now.
Well, thank you.
Hey, all right, that's it. Get out.
Oh,
Get out. Take the bone with you, you stupid ass.
thank you, Matt Newberger for activating our chat bot.
Interesting.
It's crazy how big it is as a part of the community down there. We're at a restaurant, and we're just talking to our server, and we're like, yeah, we're here for a tournament. Our server, I fished on our high school bass team. Our server, female, not saying female can't fish. It's just it's not something we see a lot of around here. She's like, oh yeah, I fished on a high school bass team. I fished the big bass splash here on Rayburn every year. It's like, well, that's cool. Like that's kind of awesome, And like everybody you talk to, like everybody fishes down there. It's just crazy.
It's just like it's not their culture, but it's just like it's part of what they do. It's a big money maker down in Texas in that general area.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's just like
a lot of like travelers coming through bass fishing. It's like one of the bass fishing capitals of the United States of America.
Right, but that's what and that's what I'm getting at though. Like it's not just like a touristy thing. Like it's part of the community.
It's their life.
It's their that's what everybody does down there. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Bailey, our server. She was awesome. Her boyfriend fishes tournaments. She fishes the Big Bass Splash tournament, which is a big bass tournament down there. She fished in high school. Everybody that we talked to fished. We went to the bar. We go to the bar one night. There's like 3 guides in the bar. We're just talking to like random guides. The owner of the bar. So the bar that we were in, it's called The Stump. It's right on Sam Rayburn.
The Stump.
The Stump.
If that is not a bass bar.
Oh, hold on. The seats at the bar were all Bass Cat pedestal seats.
No way.
Every one of them.
I can't imagine how much that cost.
They were all the rear fold down seats.
Like they had the backs to them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The fold up
nice.
Bass Cat seats.
That's sick.
every single seat at the bar.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Those are like nice seats. Too.
They must have had 30 to 40 pro jerseys in there, like actual pro jerseys signed by the pros. like Takehiro Omori, Gary Klein, like not just like these like random people, Pete Pons, like the old, like the the guys
OGs
that we
and like some of the real
the
good
OGs,
ones,
like the guys that we looked at, Rick Clunn, Edwin Evers, like it was just insane, like all these jerseys that were in there.
Do me a favor, everybody. Hit the like button and the share button. The more times you guys hit the like button, it really helps us grow and broadcast our message. And the share button just helps get in front of some more people.
So the other thing that they had in there, they have a bunch of mounted bass in there. Mm-hmm. They have this one that's like sitting up on like the server station, and it was kind of like behind something, so you couldn't like see the whole thing. And we were sitting there with two guys from DC, and Tom's like, "How big do you think that fish is?" And I'm like, I don't know, 11, 12 pounds. It looks big, but it kind of looks short.
I wouldn't even bother fishing, buddy.
So, Dave Barker, a guy from DC, gets up and he like looks behind, like there was like a poster in front of it or something, and he looks behind the poster and goes, "Ha, 16 and a half." This thing was giant. And I think, if I remember right, so we were talking to the owner on Thursday night, but after we didn't make the cut in the tournament. We don't want to talk about that, but
well, you're from Maryland and you've never been there. So.
Yeah, I should have been. It's bad.
Just enjoy it. Take it in. That's all that matters.
It was fun, but it was frustrating because I should have done really well in that tournament. But anyway, we're talking to the owner because we're at the bar and not fishing the final day. And most of the fish that are mounted in that restaurant when we're caught there were caught by his mom.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She apparently was a freaking hammer on Rayburn. So I thought that was really cool. Like,
that's
we're thinking like, oh, did you call that? We're thinking like the owner.
You bought a bunch of mounts to like put in here.
Well, we knew he fished, right?
Yeah.
We were talking to him about fishing, so we were like, well, yeah, I guess all those mounts in there are yours. And he's like, no, actually, most of them are my mom's. And he started showing us pictures. Showed us pictures of his mom and dad, and they had a picture. He had a picture of his mom and dad. It's a black and white picture. He was an older guy. It's a black and white picture of his mom and dad. His mom's holding up a 12 and his dad's holding up a 10. pretty sick. It was really cool.
In the family.
Yeah. She was apparently she was a hammer. He said he at 85 years old, he took her out. Took her out a few years ago, like 85 years old, and she puts her puts a rod in her hand, and like they go out to this one pocket out there, and she said after that long she hadn't fished out there in years. We get into one pocket and she's like, she just looks around and goes, oh yeah, there's a stump out there. Turns around, fires out the opposite side of the boat with a wacky where he boom bangs a 7-pounder.
What?
One cast, just.
There's a stump out here in this pocket.
Yeah, just turns around.
I remember this from 12 years ago.
Right. I mean, it was crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah, he said she was a hammer. He said that he would bring her fishing, and I'm not 100. I was kind of drunk, so I'm not 100% sure if she's still around or if this was years ago. But he said like newer fishing rods. Because they're so light, he would go over to their house and he'd be like, "Hey, mom, check this rod, check this rod out. It's pretty, this combo is pretty cool, pretty light." And he said she would pick it up and look at it, and again, like 80 plus years old, just would then just start just like bullet casting this thing across the fucking house,
just like underhand rolling it,
just like sitting in a chair. Just roll cast, just casting it across the house. So, like that, it's a really cool place. Anybody, if you ever get the chance to fish down there, do it. It's a long drive if you're pulling a boat.
It's a freaking real. That is one of the only things that deters me from doing that is the freaking drive.
We made one stop on the way home. We stopped for lunch for about 45 minutes. at a gas station barbecue place.
Oh.
I can talk to you about that in a second. It's funny.
I can only imagine how well that went.
Hold on. We'll get to that. So we stopped there for about 45 minutes, and that was about 20 minutes out of the way. So say we stopped for an hour. It took us 23 hours exactly to get home.
23 hours with a stop?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But we drove straight through. Like we didn't, that's the only like real stop we made other than for gas. Did you kill us?
No, but I feel like it's not as loud in my headphones now.
How about now?
Get it in the hall.
How about now?
I don't know.
It sounds better now.
Everybody else can hear us. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so 23 hours only stopping for gas and lunch. We only stopped that one time. We left at 7:30. We got home at 6:30. It was a haul. I mean, it was a lot nicer on the way down.
Did you pull with your truck down there? You pull your boat down there with your truck?
No, Tom's boat.
Tom's boat.
Yeah.
You didn't pull your skeeter down there. You
Tom's
mean I
boat,
could have
Tom's
borrowed
truck.
your skeeter while you were gone?
Absolutely not.
You need some more hours on that break-in time.
No, it's actually broken.
Not yet.
It is.
Not by sea bass. It's not.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
I picked it up with you. I deserve to drive it.
You can have a ride in it.
Oh, okay.
Anytime you want.
That's fair.
So the barbecue stop. So this is a funny story. So we're driving home, and it's like midday. We've been driving for like 5 hours. It's like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And Tom's like, man, he's like, I'm kind of hungry. How about you? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I could eat. And he's like, well, what, where we're at, what's good? And I'm like, well, we're in the South. Barbecue's got to be good. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And he's like, man, so there was like a chain barbecue place across the street, and like a hardcore chain. And he's like, man, I don't want to go to a chain if I'm going to stop here for barbecue. Like, we got to find some like little shop. So he like Googles it up, and he finds Papa's. I'm like, Papa's got to be. I mean,
Papa's.
It's called Papa's. So he's like, well, it's only like 10 minutes down the road. Like, let's go check that out. So we're driving. We get down there, and we make the turn, and like I'm looking at the GPS, and I'm like, Tom, in a gas station. And I'm like, oh man.
It didn't say on like Google Maps that it was a gas station.
No, because so on Google Maps it had the restaurant different from the gas station. Not the restaurant.
My god.
Not the restaurant, but they're like the carryout place.
Okay.
So we get in there.
It's freaking food poisoning in a package.
Oh no. So we walk into this place, and that smell hit you. I about came when I walked into this place. It smelled so good.
It was that good. Okay.
So we're like, okay, well maybe this ain't so bad. And then there's this local guy, like he had just got his food and like sat down, and Tom asked him, he's like, man, is this place any good? And he's like, dude, if you were going to stop at barbecue at one place, this is the place to stop. So it was banging. The best barbecue I've ever had.
At a gas station?
It was at a gas station. So the gas station, it was like a convenience store over here, and then there was like this, just a little section over here that was a barbecue place. It was $18. You got a giant slab of ribs, and 2 sides, and a sweet tea for $18. When I say a giant slab of ribs, like it was like 2 slabs of ribs, like 2 slabs of ribs that were about like this.
That's like a whole slab.
So it was like it was like a pretty much like a whole slab. Like you got like a whole slab of ribs, 2 sides. I got double mac and cheese. The mac and cheese was so good.
Was it good?
Oh my god, like homemade mac and cheese. It was the best barbecue I've ever had in my life, ever. Fall off the bone ribs. Oh my god, it was so good. I was
you
not.
Didn't get sick from it.
Oh no.
Okay.
All right. No, it was definitely like a legit like little.
Let's go to Poppy's.
It was like a legit little
Poppy.
like restaurant place just off to the side of the convenience store. But when we first pulled up, I was like, "Oh no, like this is gonna be bad." Wasn't Ruby's?
It was Poppy's.
No, it was Papa's.
Hi, Poppy.
That Papa. It was definitely in the South, and it was in Mississippi. I couldn't tell you what part of Mississippi it was in. It was somewhere in Mississippi, and
MISSISSIPPI.
yes, that Mississippi.
Remember when we used to try to spell that as fast as you could in high school?
That was like elementary school for me.
Okay. All right. It was a high school thing for me.
I mean, you did go to like Falston, didn't you?
Harvard Tech.
Oh, well, it's even worse. Okay. I can't say anything. So, other cool things about Texas? I sent you the pictures of the gators.
Big gators. I didn't know if you were going to run into a bunch of gators down there or not.
We probably saw a dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we pulled into one cove and there was 5 of them on the bank. Like, and when I say a cove, like, it was like the size of your house. Like, very small, right? And we, like we come around the corner on the trolling motor and Tom's like, look at that gator. And I was like, oh, man, that's cool. And we missed they blend in so well, like, up on the bank. Like, we missed the freaking 8-foot gator that was 10 feet to the right of it. I'm like, there's another one. And he's like, holy shit, I didn't even see it. Like, it was just, like, laying in the mud, and it was just, like, perfectly blended in. It was crazy.
That's called a danger noodle.
Oh, that was not a danger noodle. That was a freaking dinosaur.
I should have had you hit the 316 stores since I'm blocked and banned. Matt, hold up. What's the story on that?
I hear a lot of people are banned because the owner of 316 is a little crazy.
Yeah, I've heard the same exact thing. Matt, what's the story on that? Why are you blocked and banned from 316?
No rattlesnakes, Dan. We didn't actually see a single snake. No rattlesnakes, no water moccasins.
316 makes good baits though.
They do. I don't know if we were near their shop or not. We did go into one really cool shop called Tackle Addict. So Tackle Addict is owned by Brandon Belt and Brian Robinson. Brandon Belt is a professional baseball player. Brian Robinson is a former professional football player, played for the Minnesota Vikings. And it was one of the cleanest, like, most organized shops I've ever been in. And they had all the juice. Like, all of it. Including the mother chaser that was sitting in the front, like, in the front showcase.
The mother chaser.
Yeah, nothing like $1,100 glide bait. Oh. That's like 18 feet long. Dude, that thing was like...
That's a giant glide bait.
It's like this big. I mean, it's got to be 15 inches.
You said it was like $1,200?
I think it was $1,100 or $1,199.
Yeah. That's big.
But they had a whole case full of Gancraft. I thought that was cool. Like, I've never seen Gancraft in a store.
No. It's not JDM, but there's a lot of...
I mean, it's JDM. I mean, it's not JDM because they have a market here, but like it is a Japanese company.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Like full line of their glide baits, like every
you said
size.
You ordered a glide bait?
I did.
What'd you order?
Another KGB. Another Spro KGB. So I saw Spro posted today that Real Deal Tackle had some leftovers that they had from the classic. They had two.
Did you get a classic color?
I did.
Shut up.
Oh, you missed that when I told you that earlier.
I'll buy it from you.
No, I like it. So KGB painted up some custom colors for them, for the two custom colors, for the Bassmaster Classic only. There were some leftovers. They didn't all sell at the Classic, and Real Deal Tackle had some. I don't know if they still do, but you could get them on Real Deal Tackle. You ever shop there?
I have not.
You should probably check it out. They got a lot of stuff that's up your alley. So I got on there, and they had the Grand Shad Spro KGB, and imagine that. I hit buy. All right, I gotta read this story.
Yep. Okay, so Matt typed up. He says
Paint was
the paint was flaking on a baby wake, and I asked him to do a repaint. He said he can tell that it was a fake 316. His paint would never chip like that. And a few weeks later, he posted a bait saying that it was chewed, and the chips look actually or identically like mine. And I called him out, and he tried Facebook timing me, then blocked me on everything.
And his baby wake was chipping after 2 to 3 4-pounders, or 2 3 to 4-pounders. All right. So
see, I actually like 316 makes nice baits. I actually don't throw any of them. I do have one 316 soft plastic that Alex Rogers gave to me.
A Rising Sun, right?
It's a Rising Sun, which is nice. It's a line through. But man, that sucks. That definitely seems.
What's that?
Really petty.
What's his glide bait?
Like stupid.
What's it?
Oh shit.
That one Lee Livers he was throwing.
It's like the freaking Gladiator or some shit. I can't remember what it is.
One of the ones Lee Livers he was throwing in the when he caught that like 42-pound bag.
It's a 316. I'm picturing it in my mind exactly what it is, and I can't get what it's called.
I can picture the bait. Yeah.
I can picture the bait right in my mind.
It's not a tater hog.
No, it's not a 316 tater hog.
I do like those tater hogs though.
Tater hog makes good stuff.
I've heard of him getting on people's boats due to altercations. Yeah,
See, I'm not sure. He gets into altercations, but he's also like a diehard Christian,
super Bible thumper,
very religious,
like super Bible thumper.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like super like.
Hence the 316 lure company.
Yeah, like out there a little bit.
So it's kind of just like, like what do you have going on here?
Yeah. See how tan I got in Texas?
You're definitely like I can see where you were wearing sunglasses for sure.
Oh yeah, I got the raccoon eyes.
Got it going on. That's a normal summer thing around here though.
Yeah, I got it in March. It was great. Sunny and 75 like most of the days we were there.
Yeah, Matt was saying earlier, what's the chances of going out and fishing the flats this weekend? And I'm gonna say I would let it rest, buddy.
I would definitely stay off the flats tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be nasty. They're calling for 15 to 20 in one report. I saw 17 to 25 in another report with gusts 30 to 35 miles an hour. It's going to be gnarly out there. I would if I was going to fish tomorrow, I would go someplace local. I would go to the Gunpowder, something like that, and just where I know I could stay protected out of the wind, and I didn't have to I don't have to run any rough water. It's just not worth beating your gear up, or endangering yourself to go fish really crappy water because the water on the flats is not good. Everything is blown out up there.
Dude, the water is so high. It's like a combination of a high tide with windy conditions and chocolate milk water.
That would be your best bet would be to hit a reservoir because it's not going to be nearly as dirty.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I mean, if that's an option for you, yeah, I would do that. Go hit Black Hills or something. One of those. You'll definitely be able to. It'll definitely be a lot better fishing.
Did you see all the big bass that Victor Depp and Chris Grove caught the other week? We talked about that on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Giants. Mm-hmm. Giants.
Yeah.
I don't know what reservoirs that was out of.
We'll talk off air.
No. It was in a reservoir in the DMV. That's what I know. I think it was down in Virginia, but not sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything on the.
No, we don't have to say anything online. I don't really care. I just think it was down in Virginia, and I don't even know what any of the reservoirs are called down in Virginia.
No,
so that's all I can tell you. But he's freaking killing it. He is dialed in on a bite, and he's got his baits dialed in as well. He has been coming out with multiple different baits. His baits seem to be working. He's got some good colors. He's got good followers now.
Yeah.
Good for Victor Depp. I'm actually stoked for the guy. Like, good for you. I'm glad that stuff has turned around for you, and you're making it work for yourself. And
I'm glad people are actually getting their baits now. Sorry, I didn't say that.
Yeah. But yeah, we're definitely pumped to see a local guy making swim baits, turn it out, and do a really, really good job. So, good for you, Vic. If you're watching this, which you probably aren't.
Yeah, probably not.
I can comment on his feeds now after liking like 40 of his posts.
Hey, look at you! You're going on moving up in the world.
It's like, I got off the unblock list, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, there's a. Yeah. Definitely. I saw some pictures. Definitely catching giants.
Giants. Like, it's a 36-pound bag for 5. It was like something ridiculous.
I don't know. I didn't see. I didn't see weights or anything. I just saw the picture that they were holding up. Those were freaking giants.
8 was giant. Just multiple giants. I really, really like that FE shad glide that Chris was throwing that had that pink back on it.
Oh yeah, was that a paperweight?
It was a paperweight, yeah.
That
I think it was a 7-inch paperweight in that pink and white pattern. And dude, do not sleep on the pink.
I just received a message that was a 6 fish limit.
6 fish.
Still impressive.
Who's that?
Still impressive.
Who was that?
It's anonymous. But still, that even if it's only saying that for context, not taking away from what they had.
6 fish for 38 pounds is
still over 6 pound average.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Again, only saying that for context.
It is
that's
unheard
insane.
of around here. It is unheard of around here. It doesn't happen around here. Now, like I said, I think it's happening in Virginia, but still, it's unheard of around here.
That's absolutely insane.
Within driving distance, that's not Florida or Texas or the Carolinas or some shit. Like, that's crazy.
There was a team tournament the weekend before my tournament started on Rayburn. It took 38 pounds to win.
I wonder if I can tag fish everything.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not.
Nope, that's not. Can't do it.
That's probably not what they're called. I think it's FE fishing or something. FE baits, FE fishing, something like that.
It's fish everything or FE something.
I know it's FE something, or I'm pretty sure it's FE something.
I would tag him if I could, but I might not be off the list yet.
Yeah. So the nice thing about Virginia is you have those Florida strain bass down there, or F1s anyway. So Florida or Virginia has done a really good job of getting that stocking program in there. I didn't get a chance to catch the episode with Fish the DMV.
Go back and rewatch that.
So I need to go back and rewatch that because I know that's one of the things that you guys wanted to talk about there.
Tony was hot on that. Why are we not stocking F1 strains here in Maryland? And the answer that we got was it's not so much like living conditions and stuff up here, but the amount of money it would take to get the strain to actually catch. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you got to dump so many of them in.
You have to put so many in.
Because survival rate.
And the survival rate, yada, 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 yada. It's not that it wouldn't work. It's that it would take an astronomical amount of money here to make it work.
Well, so why does it take more money here than it would elsewhere? Or is it just that they've dumped that much money into it down there? I
think they've dumped that much money into it down there. I think the F1s are just more... Not natural, because bass, I think, are an invasive species in general, but
non-native,
but they just do better down in Florida, and I think that you have to put less money into Florida and Georgia and those areas for.
I meant Virginia.
See, that's what I'm not sure about, like Virginia. Like you would think the same things. I don't know what Virginia's fishing.
budget
budget and whatnot looks like. But why aren't we stocking F1s up here?
I don't know. I mean,
we should.
You know, like how much does a 100,000 F1s cost?
A lot.
I'd like to know.
A
like,
lot.
If you're talking fingerlings, like are they a quarter a piece? Are they 50 cents a piece?
Our show with Tom, I believe his name was Thomas from Fishing the DMV.
Yeah, I want to go back.
Dude,
I need to
that guy is so smart. If you guys don't follow Fishing the DMV on Facebook and YouTube, go to their YouTube and their Facebook and definitely watch them. I was actually blown away by how knowledgeable Thomas was of the water and the fisheries.
Thomas Arenas.
Do not know what his last name is. But like, dude, he blew my mind. There was multiple times I'm sitting there listening, like just trying to like focus. Like he's just like dropping so much information.
Yeah.
And,
I really want to go back.
episode.
I really want to go back and watch that episode. I'm really I'm kind of sad that I missed it. Kind of not, because I was fishing Lake Fork.
I hear you.
So yeah, not too hurt that I missed it.
I'm not very upset, but it could have been cool to have been there.
It could have been cool to have been there, but I was busy catching 7-pounders.
You did catch a good 7-pounder.
Yeah.
What'd you catch it on?
Jackhammer.
The jackhammer.
Yep.
Color.
Little pre-spawn action. It's like I can't remember what it's called. It's like Ghost Shad or something.
Ghost Shad.
It's like that, like kind of translucent color with the gray on the top. Okay. It was a white chatterbait. Let's just leave it at that. We don't have to get too super specific into it. It was a white chatterbait on hardcover. It was pretty awesome. Little pre-spawn action, little staging spot that we found. Saw it. I happened to see it on the old side scan as we were trolling by. Fired a chatterbait over there. Mm-hmm. Slow rolling on the bottom, and thought I got hung on a rock. And I set the hook anyway, right? Because hook sets are free. And I'm like, for 1 second, like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm hung on a rock. And then I feel it start to go like this. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, Tom, giant. And he's like, big. And I'm like, I'm reeling it in. It comes up and goes, brrr, and Tom's like, oh my God, it's a 10. And I'm like, no, it's not a 10. It's like, I promise it's not a 10.
Don't freak me out right now. Just get the net.
Like, it's a 7. Like, you got it in. Like, it was hooked perfect.
Hey, what's up, Adam?
It wasn't coming off, but yeah. I mean, it was 7.12. Like, I'll take it. Like, it was pretty cool. Then we found a.
Is that what you heard?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Not the river. I'll tell you. I'll tell you about later. So, the next
it wasn't tidal.
No, correct. So the next day, we go up to the spot that we found the night before, and I caught a couple 4.5-pounders in there, and we go on. It's kind of slow when we first start. We go to look around, and we pull up next to this, like the very shallows, like where there's like weeds and this much, and there's like 5-pounders on beds everywhere. It was freaking phenomenal. So we were just we cruised through, saw which beds had fish, and then just backed off, and we're able to cast. We could see the bed from far away, but we could. It was hard to see if there was fish on it because there was there was a little bit of wind blowing. So we just backed off and we're just casting these beds, catching 4.5s, like it's nothing.
Left and right, just having fun with it.
Yeah, it was great. And then Tom caught a 6.5.
Nice.
So we had
You had the biggest fish of the trip?
I did. Yeah.
Was it 7.6?
7.12.
7.12. Good fish, dude.
Yeah. No, I didn't. It's the biggest fish I've caught in a long time.
What's your PB title?
8.02. 8.04.
80 is your PB title.
8.04.
That's a Maryland title fish.
Yeah, Potomac. Caught that on the Potomac in December 7 years ago.
What a giant fish.
Yeah, that thing was
Hey,
crazy.
what's up, John?
Little
Hanson?
John.
Little John in the house.
Yeah, that fish was crazy. The crazy part about that fish is it like landed itself.
It landed itself.
So I caught it on a rattle trap.
Do you need one?
Yeah, I'll take one. So I catch it on a rattle trap, and I'm like, man, I got a big one. I'm like, Dave. I'm like, Dave, I got one. And he's like, is it a good one? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And it like comes up and jumps, and like Dave just goes, oh my god, and like he's digging around, like trying to get his net out because we didn't, we weren't, we were planning on using it. Wilder.
You were Dave Wilder.
So he's like digging, trying to get his net and trying to get his net out. And as he's digging to get the net out, like the fish just comes up to the next to the boat like this and just goes, boom, and just sticks its head out of the water with its mouth open. And I just went, hmm? It was like the easiest land ever. I just went, did you?
Chaz, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
So. Yeah, that was just the chair creaking.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
fart?
I heard the chair creak, man.
You might want to go get some oxygen.
I mean, there's a window here. If it gets bad, I'll open it.
I had chili the past 2 nights.
Ooh, that could be bad.
I'm just saying.
Might have to open that door.
It wasn't. I mean, it was warm.
Yeah, that's not good. So, God, Texas was fun, man. I had a blast down there. Met some really cool people.
Dang. Chaz won the VA Elite a couple of weeks ago. Okay.
Oh, nice. What's the VA Elite?
Yeah,
I know there was the Potomac teams a couple weeks ago.
Let's get some details.
I think
on
that was
that.
last weekend. Thanks, John. So, you know Zark, right? From Milliken's videos.
Who?
Zark.
Semi.
Like, you know who he is. Like, you've seen him on his
Kind of,
videos.
yeah.
So, got to hang out with him down there.
Leo, what's up, brother?
So, anybody who's a Milliken fan and watches Milliken's videos, his buddy Zark, who Milliken fishes team tournaments with sometimes, they fish that like Bass Pro, whatever big ass tournament, $1 million tournament together. He was actually in the tournament that I was in, the TBF National Championship. Got to hang out with him after the second day. Dude is so funny. Yeah, and just a good dude. I think I told you the story the other night about the Hinkle shad.
Yeah.
Just hung his Hinkle shad on the bottom, picking out a backlash.
Sat
just
there for 20 minutes.
Oh no. Dude, it was so funny.
I would have said a lot worse than it.
Just oh no. I'm sure a lot worse got said after that, but
It just wasn't on camera.
yeah, that was
Oh no.
oh no.
Hey, get down, dubbers.
Yeah, he spent like 20 minutes getting that Hinkle back. It was pretty funny.
What are you doing, Mr. Buddy?
Some bull what?
Are you a handsome boy?
What are you talking about, John? So we did do this thing, like before the tournament, when we were at Fork and like traveling to Rayburn. We just stopped at like local bars and ordered whatever specialty burger they had. We were not disappointed one time. The food down there is just
So just the
freaking
food in the South is just 10 times better than up here.
good. Yeah, apparently. Like we never had bad food down there. Now, granted, we ate at the same restaurant like 4 out of 5 nights.
Well, if you can eat at the same restaurant 4 out of 5 nights and not get tired of eating at the same restaurant, your food is good.
Right. I mean, we tried different things. Tried different things that they had.
Right.
They had good food. Again, shout out to Bailey, our server. She steered us in the right direction. We were thinking like, how's this? And she just looked at us and went,
Not that one.
no.
Not that one. If you're here from out of Maryland, get this one.
That was a terrible accent.
I don't know how to do accents.
I can't do it.
do it
I can't do
either.
a Southern accent.
I have an American accent.
She had that very like Southern, like that
Twang? Is it like
sweet
twang?
Southern, like that sweet Southern voice.
Hey y'all.
Yes. Yes, kind of like that. Yeah. Hey, friends.
Yes.
How are you doing, ma'am?
Yes.
But
I would
everybody.
like a cheeseburger with lettuce, pickles, and mayonnaise.
So here's what we found funny. Like, so in the South,
Would you like a cheeseburger, Mr. Peppers?
everything, all burgers come with mustard and mayonnaise. Like, that's the staple down there. It's not ketchup and mustard. It's not ketchup and mayonnaise. It's mustard and mayonnaise.
Interesting.
I despise mustard, so I was like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. But like on the menu, it's like all burgers come with mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, and onions. I'm like, mustard and mayonnaise?
Do not touch my sandwich with mustard. I will take you to court.
Little John wants a double cheeseburger with everything on it. I had one of those.
What's
It was
everything,
great.
though? Minus the mustard.
I had no mustard.
A burger with peanut butter? Dan, get out of here, bro.
No, I've seen that. We should get Chaz on one day. His hammers, Elite Trail.
We'll reach out to him, brother. If we have your graces and you say we're a good I'll hit him up. I'm down with it. Would love to have
Nice,
Chaz
yeah,
on.
absolutely. I'd love to know, like, what waters he fishes down there, and
I want to know more about the Elite Trail.
yeah,
Sounds good to me.
yeah. I want to know what this Virginia Elite is. It sounds like a cool deal.
He says, get out. You're not from America. Born and raised, brother. Born and raised.
I mean, are any of us from America?
Burger? Okay, so hold up. How is there 2 recommendations for a burger with peanut butter on it?
I've seen it. I'm not.
Never heard of this in my life.
I won't try it. I saw somewhere locally had a
Burger with
peanut
peanut
butter on it.
butter, bacon, and a fried egg.
It might have been it might have been McGurk's. I think they might have one.
A peanut butter burger?
Yeah.
I can't say I won't try it, but it just doesn't sound.
I don't.
It's just not there in my mind
Well,
for peanut. Like,
So think of it more this way, like a sweet and savory. Peanut butter sweet,
right?
burger savory. So you have that
Not
sweet
like,
savory
like
type
a
thing.
sweet and savory burger type thing, though. I want my burger to be like
Like I said,
burger.
I've seen it. I ain't never tried it. It's not
It's
up my
like,
alley.
like you guys like sweet and sour sauce when you get like Chinese or something. Like, I don't like sweet and sour sauce. It's either got to be sweet sauce or it's got to be like a hot sauce. You know
no,
what I
I
mean?
like sweet and sour.
It's not
like,
I can't do it.
I'm good with the sweet and sour. I always like the like.
I'm not the only one, Jason. Thank you.
My favorite my favorite hot sauce is mango habanero. I like that, like, sweet spicy.
Leo, I will try a peanut butter burger with you if you do it with me, and we'll videotape what we think. Not what we think. We'll videotape what our preferences are.
You guys
Eat the
can go.
peanut butter burger.
You guys can go
The peanut
for
butter
that.
burger.
I will pass. That's a hard pass for me. I have tried enough new things in my life.
Adam bringing out the steak sandwich with peanut butter on it. Are you American?
What? Steak sandwich?
Why would you put
No.
peanut butter on a piece of steak?
No. We did have one of the specialty burgers that we had. Well, was a
All right, y'all fucking with me now. Sour cream and onion chocolate chip cookies.
no.
This is.
You guys are gross.
Where do you live?
That's just gross.
Is that like a freaking? Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
So one of the burgers that we had, we stopped at this smokehouse, like this restaurant at the side of the road. I think it was called the Smokehouse. It was a burger with brisket on it, and it was banging.
See, I could do that. I could do a burger with brisket, but when you add sweet, like imagine laying,
I don't want sweet.
imagine laying like some ketchup on top of your peanut butter and then slamming it down on a burger. It's just not doing it for me.
Well, maybe you don't. So maybe you don't go with the
I
ketchup.
guess you don't go with the ketchup, but I feel like I would be lost. Like, do you do pickles?
Barbecue sauce, maybe.
Oh my god.
Maybe.
Just think about peanut butter infused barbecue sauce for a moment, and what does that do for you?
I can tell you what peanut butter stouts do for me, and they make me want to vomit.
Burger, brisket, mac and cheese. That sounds phenomenal.
Have you ever had a peanut butter stout?
No.
Don't.
Like a beer?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, don't.
No.
Yeah, it's
I don't like dude, I've tried the peanut butter whiskeys too. No.
no. Yeah, the DuClaw Sweet Baby Jesus. No. Nope. Not doing it. Just not doing it.
Your boy's got a leak.
Let's cook some bass with peanut butter at that point.
We could do that. We might have. There is a chance that we might have Oliver and I on the podcast here soon, talking about that. Gotta be.
That's always. I will say that's why I never get angry. I would never keep a bass, but I never get angry at people that are, keeping their limit, because some fish do need to be harvested. Doesn't matter if it's bass, snakeheads, whatever. You have to harvest some fish to have a healthy population. So we're just BSing tonight. So what do you guys want to talk about? Give us a topic.
So here's
Anything. We'll talk about anything.
Here's a thought. I'm just saying. What is your opinion, depending on the fishery? What is your opinion on harvesting largemouth?
I literally gave my opinion while you were taking a piss.
Okay, I was pissing.
So
it totally depends differently for your body of water.
So I will say that is the reason that I don't get upset when I see people keep bass within their legal limit. If they're following, as long as you're following laws and everything, I don't get angry, because in any body of water, you have to
Balance.
the amount
Balance.
the amount that needs to be harvested will vary from body of water to body of water, but you have to harvest a certain percentage of the population to maintain a healthy population. And it doesn't matter what kind of fish you're talking about. If you're talking about bass, if you're talking about snakeheads, for the guys who say that people shouldn't keep snakeheads, you have to. Catfish, crappie, you have to harvest a certain amount of fish to maintain a healthy population. I agree, Adam. Bass tastes like shit.
That's where I'm at. So
I have eaten a lot of bass in my life. When I was younger, we didn't do catch and release. We kept what we caught and we ate it. And bass tastes like shit. Like it tastes worse than stock trout. And I don't think stock trout tastes necessarily very good.
I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, it's not great. But yeah, it's no good. Yeah, just not the big ones, and that's what I think that's important about harvest is like it's you need to harvest fish, but it needs to be in a conservation minded mindset.
Yeah.
Keeping your big fish. One, from my experience, eating fish. Doesn't matter what species. The biggest of the species usually taste the worst.
Tastes worse. Absolutely. 100%.
Snakeheads. I will tell you, a like 14 to 15 inch snakehead tastes 1,000 times better than a 30-inch snakehead.
But the 30 inches still taste good.
They do. But it's just like it's like the muscle fibers are different in those smaller fish.
Yes, absolutely they are.
So it gives you, it's like a different texture and it's better. So what I asked for a topic. Did anybody give us a topic?
Yeah, but going back up into this for a second, because we were talking about them eating the bass. And so this was a real thing, actually, if you guys are listening. I did reach out and I did message Oliver and I was like, hey, man, I commented on his post and I said, hey, I was like, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Sometimes I think about this in some of the fisheries that I fish in personally, because here recently it's like 1s and 2 pounders just like left and right and left and right and left and right. I'm like, how many big fish are battling for bait forage over this? But there's so much bait.
But that also tells you, like when you're catching a lot of 1 pounders, that tells you that you had a good spawn class. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're overpopulated. It just means that you had a good spawn class.
Right.
So, there's always a balance that needs to be maintained.
Where do you find that balance though? Like, so like right now, where would you look at the GP and then go?
Well, it's hard.
Not
because
like I'm saying, like Scott's doing a great job and Scott is making the GP better in my opinion. But when do you go? Okay, like it's time to stop putting 1.5 pound fish in there and just let what is in there grow.
So that's why you see like last year at that one Thursday nighter when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was out there shocking, and they can get a pretty good idea of but from shocking, what the population density is, and the population density is really what you're looking at there. And I don't know the numbers. I just know, I know what they look at when they're doing that, but.
Zoop.
I didn't know I could play the bass while I was sitting here.
One of the questions we did have from our buddy Matt Newberger, setting up your graph. Setting up your graphs. You get a new graph. You're putting a new graph on your boat. Matt, if you're still here, listen up. Paul's much better at electronics than I am. Mainly because I only have one electronic on my entire 20-foot boat.
So setting up your graphs. Matt said, do you just plug it in and go, or do you need to make adjustments? The key to being able to use your graphs successfully is you have to constantly make adjustments. You can't just set it up once and call it good. If you want to be really good with electronics, you'll constantly be making adjustments, whether it be for water clarity, salinity, even like current can affect your electronics. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, bottom composition. So you constantly have to be adjusting your settings. Now you can get yourself to a baseline. No, that's not a good topic. We're not going to talk about that.
Sorry, Little John. No. We're not talking about women.
This is bass and beer, not bass and boobs.
I want to come home and have my woman want to cuddle up to me in bed, not punch me in the face. So we're not going to talk about women.
Yeah. But yeah, you constantly have to play with your settings.
Larry, what's up, brother?
You constantly have to play with your settings on your electronics to keep them dialed in. You can go out and you can get yourself like a baseline, but you're always going to go, you might go, higher sensitivity, lower sensitivity, higher gain, lower gain if you're looking at live scope, based on whatever conditions you're facing. Pollen, that's something that
you're good, buddy.
You don't really think of, but pollen can make a big difference. If there's a lot of pollen in the water, it can throw off your image. So there's a lot of stuff to do.
Look at that surface shit on the water.
Yeah, the surface stuff doesn't make too as much of a difference.
In your standard sonars, like they have like your surface clarity settings. You know what I mean?
Surface clutter. Yeah.
What do you want to set that to in general?
Depends on so surface clutter has nothing to do with what's on the surface of the water.
It's what's floating through the water? Like, what is it?
Nothing. It has to do with your electronic feedback.
Okay.
So it just clears up. It's
like how fast your ping is? Or
it's more of an adjustment to clear up the interference that you're getting.
Good question, Matt. Good question.
It clears up the interference that you're getting near the top of the water column.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, right. A lot of times I honestly don't
Garmin
find
LiveScope LBS 34.
So my opinion on this really doesn't matter because I don't run any of the LiveScope systems. But I will say, Matt, that if I was going to run a LiveScope system at this point in time, I am going to run a Garmin.
LBS
I was stuck on Lowrance for probably the past year to 2 years.
Lowrance is good.
Lowrance is good, but I think Garmin has the same quality for a better price point.
I think it depends a lot on what you're used to, what you already have. I think that plays a big role too. So if you've used Lowrance for 15 years,
I see. I've used
And you
John's Lowrance. I've used John's Lowrance active target
Yeah.
on the Bass Cat. So like that's kind of like not that I'm used to using it because I've used it 3 or 4 times.
I got
but
to
it's
see-
just like you know what I mean. It was a good system.
I got to see active target used, and it was great. And the nice thing about active target is you don't with Garmin. You get a better picture with Garmin, but you get better like target separation. But with Garmin, you constantly have to change your settings.
For like each body of water, for no
Each
matter
body-
what,
each body of
like
water,
your
even-
water clarity
Even like
and all that shit
from
is
like this, you're fishing like this creek to now we ran over to this creek, and I got to play with my settings because the water clarity is different and stuff like
the
that.
electronics are also becoming more sensitive.
But like the Lowrance, the Lowrance is more like a set it and forget it.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. Matt says Garmin. So like, if anybody that's joined on here, if we see Matt Downs comment, Matt Downs is from Trick Tins. If you guys don't know, for anybody that's watching, he upfits a lot of aluminum TIG rig boats. He does a lot of electronics rigging on people's bass boats. And I gotta agree that I definitely think Garmin is the recommendation for forward-facing sonar. It's probably the most user-friendly interface for the forward-facing sonar. And I do believe that it is probably the better price value for forward-facing sonar. I don't think Humminbird has it yet.
There's a reason there's a Garmin on the front of the ski.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so Humminbird.
There's a reason why I don't have anything on the front of my boat. And
Humminbird.
That's because Joe Biden's economy sucks.
I've seen the amount of glide baits that you have.
Shut up, Paul.
Just saying. There's a couple of live scopes in there.
I enjoy them.
So
I could see my glide baits on the live scope.
you can, and they show up very well.
Very well.
So with the Humminbird did an update, software update in February, and talking to Big Fish Ron.
Yes, that's my boy.
Big Fish Ron has Humminbird Mega Live, and he said with that update, he said his picture is freaking amazing on
Like way better than it was.
I still don't know if it's as good as Humminbird. I haven't been on his boat since he had it. I don't think it's as good as Garmin, but it's definitely up there and usable, is from what he's saying.
I personally think that if Humminbird, first off, I think Hummingbird's user interface is a little bit technical compared to Lowrance and or Garmin.
I guess I've used Humminbird for so long.
So you're used to it.
So like I'm very used to their settings and their interfaces.
Dude, there's like 5 settings on a Lowrance.
But
it's like you can just go through it and like pick what you need to do.
Yeah.
I feel like Humminbird is just like so many variables to go through.
Which is one of the reasons that I like it, and it's one of the reasons you can get a better picture out of a Humminbird when you're looking at like side scan.
Yeah.
Is because you can dial it in exactly. But Humminbird tends to be a little more complicated as far as their settings go. So there's, it really depends on, I will say this. If you have Lowrance and you're used to Lowrance, go with Active Target. You're not getting, I don't feel like you're getting enough benefit out of Garmin that if you have a good Lowrance unit already, to have to switch units.
Garmin has presets?
I don't have presets on mine.
Hold up. Adam, so you're saying Garmin has presets you can switch between. So you can have like one saved preset for your Garmin Live Scope and then go to a different body of water with different conditions and then and then hit a button and go to another preset. That would be pretty freaking cool.
If that is possible, I need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. If Adam, let us know some more about that in the comments. Please.
Not that I need any presets for mine because Garmin's super user friendly, so it's like super easy to change everything. And most of the thing, like really, once you get your color gain set, your TVG set, once you have that stuff set, you really don't have to change that stuff. You're just changing gain, which is right on your screen.
John, you will definitely get better at learning how to use your graphs and read graphs if you start from a younger age. That being said, you got to dig into it now, though, to learn and understand it.
Well, it's time.
There's a way to make presets. It says we have 2 guys with custom Trick Tins rigs in here. I like it. Let's go.
Yes, sir. What's going on, Greg?
We got Greg in the house. Believe me, and Matt, I went to work today and I pushed your boat to like 3 people while I was at work because they were like, oh, you like Bass and Beer Radio. You got like boats that are for sale. I'm like, dude, the sickest tin rig on the market is for sale right now for 20 grand. And I promise you would be like, people would be super jealous of you if you bought this boat. I'm like, buy it from my boy Matt. I was like, you can be a 600 pounder. It's gonna keep you. It's like it's good. Like it's a good boat.
Yeah. So, just back to learning your electronics. I don't think that I don't think that people that are younger necessarily have an advantage.
I do.
As far as their learning capabilities.
I do.
Here's what I think they have the advantage on. They have more time than us.
Yes.
We have jobs.
I think they have both.
See, I don't. I think for me, both. It's not hard to learn a new system if I spend the time to do it. But I had a lot more time to learn those things when I was a kid because I didn't have to worry about paying a mortgage. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, if I had the time that take like. Let's go the video game route. When I was a kid, I would play Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I'm not old enough. Well, I had original Nintendo, but I was really young. But like Super Nintendo,
you had the Dreamcast, didn't you?
I never had a Dreamcast. No. I had Nintendo. I was a Nintendo kid. I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64.
Oh, here we go. We got Greg up here in the comments. I thought anybody could catch 25-pound sacks with forward-facing sonar.
So, but what I'm saying is, like, when I was a kid, I would just play those games for hours and hours and hours. Now that I'm an adult and I try to play those same, I still dabble around with some like old Nintendo games. I don't have the time. But as I start, like, if I sit down and start playing them, like I immediately pick them up.
So here's my argument against this, and this might sound a little bit of a whack argument, but my parents have been using a TV remote control for their entire lives. And every time they update a TV and the remote control changes, you have to take them through an entire college training course to get them to understand how to use the new TV remote control. You don't have to do that for a 19-year-old kid.
So, and I think that's more of a mindset. Like, as you get to a certain age, you feel like
but
do you
think my boy Matt Herron at his age wants to go back and try to relearn an entire electrical system?
Once. That's the key word there.
Yeah.
Once.
What do you mean once? Does he want to?
Because
you have to at this point, but it has.
He does.
Like
he
through
does
his entire career,
but does he want
never
to?
Had to.
No. Like, so if somebody said, like, let's say dirt bikes. You rode dirt bikes your entire life.
And you're right, Greg. They will fall behind.
Now,
why should people like David Fritz, Matt Herron, any of the respected OGs are going to fall behind to an 18 or a 19-year-old because they understand electronics better than what David Fritz does?
Because
they don't understand fish patterns like David Fritz. They understand electronics. Like bullshit.
That is 100%
false. You're telling me that Trey McKinney understands fish patterns exactly like David Fritz?
Do you realize how
out your ass? No way.
Since that kid was 10 years old, he has been fishing
8 years?
major tournaments, spending 300 days a year on the water.
Has 40 years on the water.
Okay. Everything David Fritz has learned is on a fucking YouTube video right now.
Everything he's learned.
50 years of his knowledge.
He's learned everything.
50 years of his knowledge.
Anybody's posting stuff on YouTube.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. It's not forward-facing sonar. Everything that these pros took, that they learned over 50 years, has been placed on a YouTube video for a sponsor, and they've put out this information for years. You can sit in front of a computer and learn how to fish before you even go to a lake. You can understand bass fishing patterns before you even go to a lake. It's not the same anymore.
No,
the access to
it's not the same.
the access to information is so much greater now.
Forward-facing sonar has completely changed the face of fishing.
Joey Cifuentes.
Completely.
Everybody said last year, Joey Cifuentes, the only reason he can fish.
I'm not saying I'm hating on forward-facing sonar.
Only reason he can fish is forward-facing sonar.
I'm not saying I
he just
hate
top
on
10 to
forward-facing
tournament.
sonar.
He just top 10 to tournament where forward-facing sonar was banned. The guys who fish forward-facing sonar,
That's bullshit.
they know how to
not.
fish.
Trey McKinney would not be would not even be in any of this without forward-facing
Wesley
sonar.
Gore's 25 years old.
Nope.
Take forward-facing and sonar away from him, he's still going to kick their ass.
What about that 90-year-old dude that just kicked your guy's ass down in Texas?
What 90-year-old dude?
Whatever, the old guy with the vest on.
He wasn't in my tournament. That was
He wasn't your tournament.
Yeah,
he didn't have forward-facing sonar either, though.
No, that dude rocked it.
Yeah, like it was not like so. Like, dude, like I swear to God, like it's not. I don't hate on forward-facing sonar. I will have forward-facing sonar on my boat. I think it is a tool that everybody needs to have. But I do 110% believe that forward-facing sonar has allowed people to be competitive in professional bass fishing that would not have been competitive otherwise. And you're going to tell me that you're going to argue with G-Man, you're going to argue with Matt Herron and shit about that?
I will argue because it's not just forward-facing sonar. It's the access to information. The access to information in this day and age for these kids growing up, when you have 8 years where you don't have a job.
There it is, right there. You just buy their sponsors now. You just go to Fish Tips.
Fucking fish, God. That makes me But
Joe Mannion said it right there.
But that's exactly.
You just buy the spot now.
But you cannot make the Elite Series by knowing spots. And you cannot make the Elite Series without understanding fish patterns and how fish behave.
Bullshit. I think forward-facing sonar helps you eliminate those patterns.
Do you realize
faster and cover more water?
I don't think you realize how hard it is to make it through the opens.
Oh, no. I'm not taking anything from anybody that's made it through the opens. You're a good fisherman. But to compare yourself in the fishing world to some of the OG greats in fishing...
Please go.
In my opinion,
I know you've listened to Matt Herron, and I know
because of
I like Matt Herron, and he's been on the show, and he's a super cool dude.
Matt Herron has his opinions in one way. And
go listen to Rick
Clunn.
Clunn. You want to talk about a legend? Go listen to Rick Clunn talk about forward-facing sonar.
I've listened to multiple people. What about Hank Parker?
So Hank Parker, mad respect for Hank Parker. Back in the day, Hank Parker also hasn't tournament fished since 1990.
But still, he's from the outside looking in on what it is changing.
I don't think you can listen to people that are outside of the... You have to listen to the people that are inside.
What they're saying is it's changing the way that the fishing is happening on the Elite Series now. It's not the same.
But so did mapping. So did side imaging. So did all of this change. There's been so many changes that came throughout the year that have radically changed
a lot
how people fish on the major tours.
Side scan. It was big. It's all big stuff.
Side scan ruined the careers of Tennessee River ledge fishing because those people knew that when they got on those Tennessee River fishing, that's where they were going to make their money.
Off 2D.
Because they knew where those fish were on the river ledge, or from years of fishing, finding those drop offs and being able to fish. When side scan comes out, and now everybody knows where those spots are. Mapping comes out, everybody knows where those river ledges are. It drastically came, and I think you would have heard just as much pushback about those. I'll read it in a second. Just as much pushback about those technologies had social media existed at that time.
I won't take social media and all that shit has definitely made a big difference. But in my opinion, I just think the forward-facing sonar has taken an element out of pro fishing. I don't think that it should be banned. I don't think that it should, I'm not one of those people that says screw it, get rid of it. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. I just think there needs to be limitations. Because when you okay, so like we're saying on here, Greg is saying, oh, so retire. If you suck now because forward-facing sonar exists, just retire. But what does that tell you? If you were one of the greats and you suck now because forward-facing sonar comes out and now an 18-year-old can smash you, what is that telling you?
That's telling you maybe you should have kept up with the technology that's been out for 6 years.
That's telling you that an 18-year-old can learn technology and beat you in bass fishing. That's what it's telling me.
Or, again, the access of information when this kid's
What access of information? Do you think
every single detail about bass fishing?
Do you think he's getting on Facebook and just learning where every point and fish is in the freaking Lake Fork?
That is why I'm telling you that he understands patterns. Because he doesn't have to know where all of the spots are. Mapping tells you where all the spots are. You have to know why the fish are going to be there
and
to
then
put yourself in that position.
And locate them.
Correct. If you can't locate where the fish are going to be, forward-facing sonar is not going to help you.
Okay, but forward-facing sonar just helped you find and locate where those fish are just by doing a simple sweep by the point that you wanted to fish.
You have 3 days to practice. 3 days to practice. Mm-hmm. Okay? You cannot rely on forward-facing sonar to find your fish in 3 days.
They all do.
They don't.
Yes,
Ben Milliken will tell you in practice he uses side scan more than he uses live scope.
Ben Milliken is making more money off freaking forward-facing sonar than any of them other motherfuckers.
It doesn't matter.
Listen
to what he's saying. In practice, side scan is more important to him in practice.
Ben Milliken is one of the guys that probably would not be part of the elites if it wasn't for forward-facing sonar.
I think that's an insult to those people. Ben Milliken.
Then I'm insulting them.
Ben Milliken has been tournament fishing for 20 years.
And I'm not saying he's not a hammer.
He had
but he only made it when forward-facing sonar.
He also only tried. He tried 1 year.
But why did he try? Because he felt confident in his ability after learning forward-facing sonar.
He also tried because he is stable because of his income from YouTube. That's exactly why he said,
right.
I'm stable now. I have this.
It takes way too much money to get into the elite series.
I'm doing this. He's doing that for him now that he's stable.
You're wrong, Greg. You're wrong, Greg.
If you think you're only relying on forward.
Greg doesn't even have forward-facing sonar. He wants to try to talk to me about it. Go.
That's funny. That is ironic, isn't it? If you think they're only relying on forward-facing sonar to be able to locate these fish, there's no way you can do that in 3 days of practice, unless they are just absolutely the luckiest people in the world.
Right.
Like, for example, let's take like the lake that I was just on, Sam Rayburn. You know how big that lake is? It's 110,000 acres.
Huge.
If you don't, you can do your research. That's the access of information. You get online. You can look at Google. We have Google Earth now. So Google Earth is a huge advantage to any fishing any body of water, because you can go back in time and especially lakes.
We've been using Google Earth for a long time now for fishing purposes.
Yeah, because you can go back and say you're fishing a lake, say it's a TVA lake. Well, TVA lakes get drawn down in the wintertime. Okay, I go to Google Earth, I go back to December when it's at full drawdown. It's 50 feet low. I can now look and mark every single rock pile on that lake. That's not something that you could do 15 years ago. And that's what I mean about access of information. Yeah, JT Tompkins spends over 300 days a year on the water.
It's a lot of time on the water.
Right. That's the main reason that these people are good. I'm not judging anybody for
How can anybody say that forward-facing sonar does not give an advantage to somebody that's just running side scan?
Bubs. No chewing on cables.
Is he chewing on a...
Why
don't you go ahead and chew on a 120-volt cable down there and get you the shock of your life?
I'm not saying it's not an advantage over somebody who's just using side scan.
Yeah.
But every single person on the Elite Series has live scope. Or some version of it. Every single one.
Every single, because you have to now.
So why are some people, even let's take out those rookies. Jordan Lee. Mm-hmm. Jordan Lee's been around for pretty long, pretty decent amount of time now.
Look at
I'm not saying I'm not saying he's an old man.
look at Greg Hackney.
But a lot of their struggling in this period is their refusal to learn it. Greg Hackney said it, and this is what blows my mind when you're a professional angler. Greg Hackney said at Lake Fork, it's going to be one out there, but that's not the way I want to fish. How do you, well, as a professional angler, how do you say that? Like you can't say something like that and then complain that you're falling behind.
You need to be up to date on the electronics
Right.
and everything, but I'm saying the electronics is giving advantages to other people. Like
I'm just
Greg
saying,
says,
I'm not
Greg
saying,
says a old man cannot do that. Well, basically, you're taking the old men out of the fight, is what I'm saying.
but in what other,
Which I don't like. I don't like that.
But in what other, it's a professional sport, right?
It is a professional sport.
So what other professional sport?
We don't need to adapt to every single technology and everything that comes out on the floor. Like Hank Parker said, when they freaking came out, and they came out with the technology where you can hit a golf ball and the golf ball is going to travel 30 times farther because it's made of a different material. Doesn't mean golf said, no, we don't want this because it makes all the records of all the old timers irrelevant. We don't need to take on every single piece of technology.
Why
into
are
the
we
sport
living
that
in
we
the
need to.
past? Why live in the past? Why is that important? Those records, what those people
Those
did
are important.
and their legacy
Why is it not important?
will always stand. What they did
It will not.
will always stand. That's what they
When somebody comes in here and trumps their record because of forward-facing sonar, it takes away, in my opinion, from what they did with 2D or downscan.
don't think that golf hasn't adapted with technology either. We're not
in-
using
not
wooden
in,
clubs.
not in the balls that could go farther.
We're not still-
The clubs definitely have
Well,
changed.
yeah, we're not still using wooden clubs.
They haven't used wooden clubs in a long time.
Right.
though.
Since the last wooden clubs would have probably been like the 80s. You know, it's
They
40
use
years.
wood clubs for golfing?
Yeah. For a long time, drivers were all wood. You do. You have to be in. You do have to be in shape.
You do. You have to be in shape. I go out and fish for 6 hours, 7 hours on a boat. Dude, my
I will
back
say,
is killing me.
Listen to listen to Rick Clunn. Listen to Rick Clunn talk about forward-facing sonar. I respect that man more than anyone else in the fishing industry. Listen to him talk about forward-facing sonar. The way that he says
I'm
it in a
listening
very
to
respectful way.
multiple different people on forward-facing sonar in the
But
industry.
you're only listening to people with the same opinion.
I'm not. I'm listening to everybody's opinion on it.
But all you list out
listening
is
to everything.
Because
I agree with the people that I've been listening to that don't like where forward-facing sonar is taking it. It's because I agree with them. It's not because I haven't listened to the sides of others. It's because I agree with them.
So that's called confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. It's
Yes.
called believing in what you believe in.
But
I believe that forward-facing sonar
No.
is changing the state of fishing, and it is making it
because the
different
people
for
who
other
share my
people.
opinion also agree with that. And the people whose opinion is different than mine don't mean as much. That's what confirmation bias is.
no.
Yes, that's
No,
100%.
that is me listening to both sides. I've listened to both sides of the argument, and my opinion because this has been out for a long time now. This isn't a new subject.
It's a relatively new subject. But
It's become a lot more heated since it's been introduced to the Elite
why
Series
wasn't
and taken over.
So why wasn't this a big deal 6 years ago?
It definitely didn't have as much coverage 6 years ago.
Right. You know, so what my thought process here is,
The freak comments are
and
popping
why
off now.
and why you're seeing so much hate against it is they all knew about this technology 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
And they were wrong about it. They thought, oh, this isn't going to be that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal.
They didn't want to learn it.
So they didn't pick it up because they didn't think it was going to be a big deal. So they didn't learn
it's
it.
definitely going to be. I think anybody should have been able to look at that.
But they didn't.
Say, like, this is a big
and
deal.
people will tell you that they saw it. Luke Duncan was one of the first people to have LiveScope. He demoed it before it was out. He got one of the first LiveScope units that Panoptix made. And he will tell you, I did not know what I had.
There has 100% been 3-1 on forward-facing sonar because I watch them back in the toilet bowl doing it.
Maybe one.
Couple of them. Look, anytime JT goes back to the toilet bowl, he's scoping, and he's won several.
Yeah, but he didn't win them in the toilet bowl.
I watched him win them out
Just
of the
one.
toilet bowl. Couple of them.
Well,
If not, he put himself in the money.
he only fished 3.
He did not fish 3 last year. He fished more than 3 last
I'm pretty sure
No,
him
he fished
because he
way
fished
more
him
than
with
3
he
last
was
year.
fishing with Chris,
He fished way more.
And they
I don't
were-
know who Chris is,
Chris
but I
was-
know who JT is.
the skeeter with the Merc on it. Red
I just
skeeter with the
know
four-stroke.
his Phoenix with the 250 on.
So-
it. And I can say they were definitely back there more than that.
But
this year.
that's kind of my that's 100% an opinion. Like I'm not saying that's fact. I think that a lot of the people that are speaking out against it now saw it in the past, didn't realize how big of a player it was going to be.
I can't afford it, Greg. I'm
So
not broke.
So they didn't adapt to the technology then, and the guys who adapted to that technology 6 years ago are now at the forefront. The same thing happened when SideScan came out, and KVD was one of the first people to have SideScan. KVD saw the benefit of that technology and used it to exploit and make a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that one of the main reasons KVD was so dominant in the mid 2000s was because of SideScan. And that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was so good at offshore fishing. And that dude can wind a crankbait offshore, man. Like, and it's because of SideScan that allowed him to find the schools of fish, that allowed him to find the ledges.
Imagine
That
if forward-facing sonar was available to him back then.
Right. It would have been. I mean, it would have been similar.
been
Deal.
over.
He would have been like.
It was over then.
It was over there. Dude's won like 27.
It was over then. Like,
Dude's like won like I think he's won like 27 BASS tournaments. It's insane. But you know that step in technology is what allowed him to dominate that era. If you look at it before that era, before SideScan came out.
Milliken is full of shit.
No, that's not what he says. He doesn't say SideScan is better. He says SideScan is more important in practice than LiveScope is. In practice, because it allows you to find the fish. SideScan, you can find the fish much easier with SideScan than you can with LiveScope.
I just disagree with that.
It's because you can cover so much more water.
Yeah, you can cover more water. And here's the thing too, and I say that too because I'm running a lesser of a side scan system too. I'm running a Lowrance 9 Ti2, and it just doesn't have the same clarity as the Hummingbird units that you guys are using. So, like, identifying fish on my unit definitely does not work the same.
Hey, do you still have that picture of all the snakeheads on the tailgate? You should throw that up right now. Anyway,
I would have to find it. I would have to find it.
we should throw that up right now.
I would totally have to find it.
So, anyway, technology has been part of bass fishing since its inception, and that's what has.
Did you upload it on your Facebook?
No, I don't think so. And that's what that growth of technology in bass fishing is one of the reasons that bass fishing has gotten to the point it is today. Mm-hmm. So, I find it. I don't like banning anything, I want
don't
people
agree with banning anything either.
We need to be very careful about banning anything. That's more because where do you draw the line of banning stuff? Mm-hmm. Then because somebody wins a tournament on something off the wall, we got to ban that. That you go down a slippery slope.
I can fully agree. I don't agree with banning, and I don't think that we should ban forward-facing sonar.
I think there should be limitations.
Exactly.
But I don't, not because it's such a dominant technology, because I find it more of an access issue. If you need to have, I'm not saying that you need to have, but if you need to have 6 live scope transducers and 8 units on your boat
to be competitive,
you're never going to get new blood into the sport unless they're independently wealthy.
It becomes too expensive to be competitive.
And it becomes an access. So then it becomes an access deal. And that's why I think there should be limitations on it. Because that guy who, the guy who just won the Classic, Justin Hamner, perfect example. He was so dedicated to making the Elite Series. He fished the Open on the James River, is leaving, left the James, didn't cash a check, did not have any money, so little that had to dig around for change in his truck. He had enough money to fill up his truck to go home, had to dig around for change in his truck to buy a cheeseburger at McDonald's to get something to eat. Do you think a guy like that can afford $50,000 in electronics? Like, if that's what he has to be competitive, sponsors don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. Sponsors don't come easily. And yes, a lot of these guys have long-standing relationships with their sponsors, and they're able to get that. But for a lot of the newcomers that come in, it's not. And just to throw another fact out there, Patrick Walters whips the shit out of everybody, and he uses 1 live scope transducer.
That's what I think it should be, though. Listen, I'm not sitting here saying ban live scope. Live scope is the devil, yada yada. I definitely think it's a tool. I think it should be utilized, but there needs to be limitations on it. Having one live scope transducer at the front of your boat on your trolling motor with 1 sonar screen, I think is. But that's good enough.
But that doesn't change how the fishing.
But most guys only had 1 side scan transducer on their boat.
True.
Why should they have 6 live scopes now?
But they're also, you have 1 transducer per unit. So if I can run 1 transducer per unit, that's fine. But if I run,
hey, thanks for joining us, Ken. Have a good night, brother.
If I run 8 units on my boat, am I allowed to have 8 transducers?
Right. Well, I mean, there needs to be a limit on your sonar screens as well.
I think 4. 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
2 in the back.
So that way you can have your live scope and a map in the front, or a live scope in 360. Whatever you want, however you want.
People are thinking I'm like the technology devil right now, but I'm not. I just want to see some limitations put in place.
My idea for limitations has nothing to do with the style of fishing. It has more to do with the access to fishing, because the access should be there for everyone to be competitive.
Snakeheads suck. Not that I hate on them because they don't hurt our population whatsoever, but yeah, snakehead just suck.
Depends on the body of water, but yeah.
Around here, it's not hurting nothing.
Yeah,
the bow fishermen keep everything so under control at this point.
Goes back to that whole harvest thing with keeping populations.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say this for the people who
Scott
think
Safrano. Thanks for joining us, Scott. Appreciate it, brother.
For the people who think that that there are no snakeheads around.
Mama says that live scope is the devil.
The devil.
You're saying your mama's wrong again.
There are a lot of snakeheads still around. They are way, way smarter than they used to be.
Oh yeah.
The pressure has, all of the people fishing for snakeheads I don't think
Go lay down.
And the bow fishermen, I think the population has decreased some, but I think the pressure has impacted, just like bass fishing. Go to a pond that hasn't been fished in 10 years. If you want to see a perfect example of how pressure affects fishing, go to a pond that nobody's fished for 10 years. The first day you go there in like April, you're gonna whack like 50 fish.
Catch 58 pounders.
Right. Then go back a week later, and you catch 20.
This is definitely so. Like,
and go back 3 weeks later.
I gotta say,
and you catch 10.
So here's a legitimate pattern that me and Scuba Steve had. We have a pond that we like to fish. We call it the farm pond.
Yeah.
And we like to sneak in there at nighttime in the springtime and the fall, and we like to fish this pond. And in the beginning of the season, you'll go up there and you'll throw baits, and you'll just one after another on like a 6-inch mag draft or something.
Right.
But then you go back there like 2 more weeks,
You might get one.
It just dies off. And I gotta pee again.
Quick. And it does it quick.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
They get smart very quickly. Fish are a lot smarter than people give them credit for.
Snakehead fishing is gay. Anybody who likes to catch a fish that pulls for about 3 seconds and is like a log pulling in is gay. I'm just busting your balls. I actually like fishing for snakeheads.
Oh man!
So John almost got
I gotta
a dog.
say, we gotta get Greg in studio pretty soon.
We do. I haven't seen Greg in a while. I guess I got to talk to him at the flea market a little bit. But
I want to have Greg and Scott Sewell.
I like me and
soon.
me and Greg get in some when we have disagreements. We get into some very heated arguments. It's great. But I love it. Yeah, I love it, and I like Greg.
Greg's good, man. Greg brings a different opinion. He's put a lot of time in on the water. He's got a different outlook on stuff, and I definitely like having people in the area that have put lots of time on the water bring their opinions into it. I gotta say, I
can't wait to put some time.
I don't have as much time on the water as a lot of other guys do, and or the same use or technology with forward-facing sonar. So I try to bite my tongue somewhat on my opinion with forward-facing sonar, as I do not have it. But what I see is what I see. I don't believe in banning anything, and I want to utilize forward-facing sonar myself.
Right. Yeah, well, I don't see. I just see what I have seen from the people who speak out the heaviest about it outside of Randy.
People that don't use it
are the people who don't use it, or the people who haven't put in the time to learn it.
Greg says, "I'm a man."
Yeah. So, and if you look into like you look in the comments, so like everybody, the people who are good with forward-facing sonar is because they put in the time to learn how to use forward-facing sonar. I know people who have forward-facing sonar who suck. Somebody, I think Chaz said it earlier. The people who sucked before forward-facing sonar still suck. It's not like that. That's what. That's one of the things that I notice. Like on
so many comments, dude. The comments popped off.
One of the things that I notice on to the forward-facing sonar point and like the new anglers, if it was such
Greg?
If it was such a dominant like tool for, or such an easy tool to use, or such a like a cheat code, you would see people who were bottom of the pack before rise to the top. Mm-hmm. Not the new guys, because the new guys weren't at that level, so we can't really look at those.
But I think you see a lot of the new guys that are on the top before they were even at the bottom, making their way to the top.
But some people are never. Some people are never at the bottom. So guys who are good and come in and are good are generally going to be in the top half of the field.
They're going to be good,
right? But so what you don't see, since forward-facing sonar comes up, is that guy who was prior to
that's me, Greg.
Prior to forward-facing sonar was just kind of like hanging around, just barely requalifying for the elites. If it was such a, I'm not saying it's not a dominant factor. I'm talking about like the ease of use and stuff like that. That it's a skill that needs to be learned. Because if it was just a cheat code, you would see those guys that were at the bottom of the pack. They would now be finishing up here. You not all of them, but you would see some of them.
I think some of them do.
Not really.
I think there's people that without it would finish at the bottom of the pack.
I'm only comparing people who fished before and after is what I'm saying, because you have data from both, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you have data from both sides,
So
you should see
they
people,
didn't adapt to the electronics, is what it comes down to.
or they just suck at finding fish.
They didn't. I don't think that's the case though, because you have people that have won Bassmaster Classics and stuff that are struggling with the forward-facing sonar. So, you
Right.
can't say that these people don't understand fish patterns or they were never good at one point, because you have.
But I'm not talking
that
about.
were.
I'm talking about guys who were on the Elite Tour before and after forward-facing sonar. Strictly looking at just those people. You don't see those guys who were down here now finishing up here because of that technology. And some of those guys at the bottom are pretty proficient with forward-facing sonar. Most of them are. A lot of those guys are pretty proficient. So if it was just a forward-facing sonar deal, you would see a couple of those guys shoot from the bottom to the top.
So I got a question, and this is a little bit off topic, but it's on topic.
It's all good.
Because here's my boy right here. This is my spirit animal in the fishing world. How do you think he compares to forward-facing sonar? Because he was there before, and now he's there after. But my boy Matt Robertson.
Matt Robertson is very, very good with forward-facing
He's
sonar.
very, very good at forward-facing sonar, but he still seems to be having some problems.
I think his problems lie more off the water than on the water. I'll just say that.
A little partying. But there's also been times I know he's partied and then fish good and then not partied and fish bad.
But if you look like last year, Matt Robertson did very well last year.
He did.
But he's struggling this way. And Matt Robinson's very, very good with forward-facing sonar.
I think Matt Robertson's a good fisherman in general.
So it just kind of goes to show you that
he was competitive. Was Matt Robertson in the series before FFS came out?
not before it came out, but he did qualify for the Classic before it came out.
That's an accomplishment.
Right. He did it through he qualified twice for the Classic before he was on the Elite Series.
And Gray, you said he just got married.
Right. So I think there's a lot of like outside, because a lot of people don't understand how
Dubbers.
how much those outside factors can affect your performance, because you're not if you have a lot of stuff on your mind, you may not be thinking clearly about your mind's not 100% on what you're doing.
Right.
But Matt Robertson.
John Hansen says, "Congratulations, Mr. Grigg."
That's funny. But if your mind's not 100% on what you're doing, it's you're not going to perform at your best, and that goes for any sport. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's fishing, football, baseball, lacrosse, dirt bikes. If your mind's not 100% there, you're not going to perform as well. So, I think it's more that than anything else. Because Matt Robertson's a hammer. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying.
Sorry, Greg.
Matt Robertson's a hammer. Like the dude can flat catch him, and he's he's very good with forward facing sonar. He proved that at Champlain last year. Had a very good tournament at Champlain. Specifically made the top 10. Specifically with forward facing sonar, chasing offshore suspended fish that weren't related to anything. He can catch them with forward facing sonar. He can catch them without forward facing sonar. So, again, it just kind of goes to show this tournament that just happened this week. Did you hear about that? The TAA tournament on Lanier?
No.
So it is a no 360, no live scope. It's banned.
I like it.
It's you cannot use it.
Okay.
Guess what?
Not saying I like that, but
Emil Wagner, known live scoper, 3rd place. Didn't have live scope. So is it live scope or is it his fishing
he got
ability?
3rd, he didn't get 1st.
So if you look at the field,
yeah,
3rd place is pretty good. Chris Johnson was 1st place. Actually, Emil Wagner was second or fourth because Jared Littner, third place. Joey Cifuentes, 10th place. Oh, there's another live scoper, quote unquote. Like, that's what people label him as, is a live scoper. And guess what? He just top 10. He just top 10 to no live scoper.
Greg says, Chad, you don't know what's going on. Greg, I don't think you know what's going on. You don't even have forward-facing sonar. So why don't you calm down?
But what that shows me is the guys that can catch them are going to catch them.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have changed. Not just forward-facing sonar. A lot of our lakes have changed. A lot of our lakes have changed because of fishing pressure, especially since COVID. You know, we've seen that on our local waters. How things like the Forbidden Zone.
I will say, Greg, I really don't follow the professional tournaments too much, so that is true. I do not follow the professional fishing league very much. I've tried more this year.
You've seen that too.
Yeah.
You know, with fishing pressure, how it's affected places like, you know, the Forbidden Zone since COVID, since we have more people in the water. So I think there's a lot more factors that go into it than just live scope.
I think fishing since COVID has really taken off. Like a lot. There's a lot of people. Yeah.
100%.
Like there's a lot more people in the water between kayaks, john boats, and bass boats now than there was 2 or 3 years ago.
Sweet, Scott. Thanks for letting us know about that. Edgemere Bait and Tackle Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. So go down and show social support for the local shops. Yeah, they're great people. We met them at the fishing flea market this year. Really like those
Brian guys. Was cool as hell.
Super cool dudes. Yeah,
super cool dudes. I got a couple frogs for a giveaway from Edgemere Bait and Tackle to put in there.
Sweet. But so the only thing that I took away from that tournament is the guys who can catch them with or without. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're talking about live scope or not. They're still going to catch them. It doesn't matter if they have live scope or not. You take somebody like Wesley Gore. Wesley Gore's he is a young guy, not like Trey McKinney young. Trey McKinney's just like an exception to everything. The dude he like eats, sleeps, breathes fish. But like Wesley Gore, the dude is just, it's not that he's a good live scoper, and that's, is he good at live scoping? Yes. He's also really, really good without it.
I want to hear more about this like panoptics view from forward facing sonar. This might be another topic for a different day as we're getting into that 2-hour mark.
Perspective. You're talking about
the perspective mode. I've been seeing a lot of things on Facebook and YouTube about how perspective mode is phenomenal for shallow water fishermen.
So I can tell you about that from Texas. The guy that I was with on day 2, we were fishing shallow points, shallow clay points. He would pull up to this point, and he wasn't just looking at it to cast. So he would pull up and start casting, but he's constantly looking at his perspective mode. And we're fishing like 1.5 foot of water, with the boat sitting in maybe 3 or 4 feet. Mm. And so he's casting up to the point, goes, all of a sudden you just see him turn, make a 90-degree turn and start casting that way.
Just the opposite way.
And he's like, there's a big one on this side of the point, and catch a 3-pounder. It was, it was incredible how well he could use it. Mm-hmm. But again, it's a skill in its own set, in its own right, because it's not easy to learn.
Paul doesn't go to the Forbidden Zone in the Thursday nighters, so that's wrong right away.
Who said that?
John.
Forbidden Zone all day. Yeah, I'm not wasting 40 minutes one way to go to the Forbidden Zone in a 3-hour tournament.
I've made money off going to the Forbidden Zone though.
I mean, if I know they're back there, if I know
they're always there,
but they're always in other places too.
Yeah. And that being said, there is definitely times where dude, there is always fish in the Forbidden Zone, but that doesn't mean they're chewing the way they are if they're outside somewhere else.
Oh yeah. I mean, certain tournaments last year that were one out of the forbidden zone. Like I had the bites to win them in other areas. It's just one of those things. Like you lose a couple fish. Stuff happens. That's fishing, right? So it's not like I can go to other areas, and I feel like I have a better chance of winning if I go to other areas where I have more time to fish versus having to idle all the way across Days Cove, which exactly. Greg said it best. Fuck that pond.
Look, if you guys seriously, last time I fished with Greg, we went back to the pond and we couldn't get bit on nothing.
Matt.
But dude, if you guys are into some forward-facing sonar stuff, man, check out my boy from Bass Munitions, Mr. Larry Payne. He's got some of them freaking drop shot worms, the Holstein worms. He's got flipping baits, paddle tails, you name it.
He got any of them minnows?
He's got some of them minnows.
I need some of them minnows. Them jighead minnows.
Boy. He's got a worm in there called the goat pecker, and you better go check that out because that's like a coontail worm that floats, and that boy gets all types of chewed up for sure.
So Matt Downs, said he's rigged some boats with live scope transducers. The two different one in perspective,
he says,
one in
fuck the
forward.
pond, and John says choose kindness.
So
I love it.
That's what the guy that I was fishing with had. That's the setup that he was running. He had two Garmins on the front, one in forward mode, one in perspective mode, and so that he could see if we were in 10 feet of water, like he had forward mode. If we're in like a foot of water, he had perspective.
Mode.
So I have not played around with perspective mode much. That is something that I am going to do this year as soon as fish obsessed mounts are back in stock.
It does not look like a goat pecker.
I don't know. I've never actually looked at a goat pecker.
I have.
Yeah, that's a little suspect.
I'm a farmer.
No, you're not.
Yeah. I'm a farmer, dude. I got 6 chickens.
I've got 6 chickens. I'm a farmer.
I got 6 chickens. I'm a farmer, and I got 2 ducks, bitch.
You're one of them.
What do you even know?
You're one of them millennial farmers.
Ooh, says Scottos. He says the goats are nice. He's got the nice goat peckers.
Goats got nice peckers.
But man, as I was saying earlier, man, I hate to bring it up again. I'm not a hater on the forward-facing sonar. I have my different opinions on forward-facing sonar. I don't think it should be banned from professional fishing. There needs to be limitations. Greg called me out. I don't know what the fuck is going on with a lot of the professional stuff because I don't follow it. That being said, I try to keep up on anything that is
I think
first and foremost on Facebook. If I log in on Facebook and there's some drama from MLF or the Elite Series, I read up on it.
James Watson getting banned from MLF.
Fish boat docks, baby.
I love James. I love
Fish
James
and boat
Watson.
docks, baby.
I've always liked James Watson.
I cannot find a FBD hat anywhere.
Did you check his website?
Sold out.
Sold out. Doesn't surprise me at all. Frank got his.
You got one?
Yeah, he got it in the mail yesterday.
Yeah, I'm trying to get one for sure. I definitely want FBD hat.
So, with the whole forward-facing sonar and pro angler stuff, I think my biggest issue is not, they can decide what they want to do. Like it's, they're the ones fishing professionally. Mm-hmm. My biggest issue is with the people that say, oh, well, he only made it here because of live scope. They didn't just none of those guys made it there specifically because only because they have live scope.
I think
the guys are good fishermen.
I think they're all good fishermen, but I think some of them made it there.
Trey McKinney. So perfect example with Trey McKinney. You had mentioned him earlier.
He made it there because of live scope.
If you watch that Fork tournament though, if you watch the decisions he made throughout that tournament, it's more than just live scope.
He made multiple decisions.
The last day of that tournament, when he had that intuition, like I need to go fish this. I need to go fish those shallow docks.
Did any of these anglers ever hit the power button on their forward-facing sonar and then go win though, or place themselves?
But why would you turn it off? I mean, unless you think it's spoofing fish.
If you know fish patterns, you know fish patterns, right?
But if you have the access to it, That's like,
But that's what I'm saying. It gives you that difference of you can understand fish patterns, 100%. So
okay,
you
but that's like
understand
playing
fish
golf
patterns.
and saying I'm only going to use my putter.
I've never played golf.
So you know, I'm not going to use my driver. I'm just going to use my putter the whole
But
time.
it's like it's kind of like, to me, it's like they go look at a spot and they understand fish patterns, but they can take what they understand from fish patterns and they can look at like, okay, I'm going to go fish this point because this is where
Oh,
fish
absolutely! It makes them
should be.
It makes them way more efficient.
Yes, this is where fish should be. Scan, scan, scan. Nothing here. We got to find something else.
But here's the crazy.
Instead of casting 70 times and being like, hey, there's nothing here.
Here's the crazy part about that though. Oh shoot, who was Jordan Lee was actually talking about it.
MLF sucks.
So on and this makes it wild and kind of blows out like your just, hey, I can just scan around and look for fish. So Jordan Lee was saying that during the fork tournament, and Jordan Lee did very well in the fork tournament. It used to be on fork, and he said, I've been there multiple times, and I've been there similar times a year when the fish were doing similar things. And when you found fish offshore, they were bunched up. Mm-hmm. Like you could sit there and whack on them because of the pressure that those offshore fish have been receiving.
On the banks.
No, the offshore fish. They don't.
Oh, the forward-facing sonar fish. Yeah.
They don't group up anymore. You may see two fish together. He said, if you see two fish together, you're lucky. Most of those fish are single fish. So to what you said, they just go up to this area and they scan around. They're looking for singular fish. Do you know how hard it is to find
But do you know how many times you can find 2, 3, or 4 bass sitting on a point at the same time? It doesn't mean they have to be sitting back to back to each other, but one can be on one side, one can be on the other side,
these fish
one can be on the lower side.
These fish weren't on points. These fish were suspended out because they were staging to move in. They weren't moved up on the points. They were staged out. Mm-hmm. You can't just pull in with forward-facing sonar and go boop boop boop. Oh, there's no fish here, because that fish might be 100 yards that way, might be 100 yards that way.
Forward-facing sonar is dialed in though. You can find that one big bass that's underneath a ball of shad though.
But you have to find the ball of shad. That's the problem. Like you can't just pull up to a spot, scan around for a couple minutes, and be like, oh yeah, there's nothing here. You have to have the initiative or the gut, the instinct to know that those fish should be here and put in the time during that day, and that could backfire on somebody for sure. That's what I mean. If you don't have the instincts to change what you're doing. That's what Trey McKinney did on the last day. Mm-hmm. He used his instincts and his understanding of fish movement to know, I need to stop fishing out here. The weather is right. The winds stopped blowing. These fish are going to the bank. And he went to the bank. There were like 3 boat docks on the bank, and caught like a 7 and an 8 skipping boat docks. Because that's where it goes, like the guys. It's not just forward-facing sonar that makes them good; it's that they understand when to make the decision. Making is 90% of tournament fishing. Mm-hmm. If you make good decisions, you're going to finish close to the top. If you make a decision of fishing the bank when you know the fish are not on the bank, you're going to suck. And again, that's what one of the pros said. One of the pros said, I know it's going to be one out there, but that's not the way that I want to fish. That's your income. That would be like you saying,
well, that's because 4 years ago he didn't have to go do that in order to freaking be competitive in a tournament.
But he still only caught 8 pounds. It would be
that might have been competitive then.
But no way. Not on fork. Never would have been competitive. Never would have been competitive.
Not on fork, but I'm just saying.
The dude caught. He
without
caught 10
forward-facing
pounds.
sonar, what he might have caught then without forward-facing sonar could have been competitive compared to somebody that has forward.
There's no way that 8 pounds on Toledo Bend or fork is ever going to be. But that's what he caught, and that's what they're complaining. The guys that you see, the guys complaining, they're using it as an excuse. if you caught 8 to 10 pounds on Toledo Bend or Fork, there's not a tournament ever in existence on Toledo Bend or Fork where you are ever going to be close to the top.
You also have classic winners and multiple tournament winners that are not competitive anymore because of this.
But they're still only catching 8 pounds a day. I would hold their opinion in more respect if they were catching 20 and getting smoked. Like, and they came out and said, man,
that doesn't happen in that many tournaments.
It does in Texas.
You're talking about Lake Fork. They go all over the country.
That's what I'm talking. We're talking about this year. They've only fished in Texas this year. It's the only place they fished,
so far,
aside from the Classic. So they've only fished in Texas. And the guys complaining about it this year, if you look at what they caught, they didn't catch enough to be competitive before forward-facing sonar. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I would hold their opinion I would give their opinion more weight if they went there and they caught 20 pounds and they were like, dude, I got, I caught them today.
I caught 20 pounds.
I freaking caught them.
And I still got dominated by somebody that had forward-facing sonar.
But the guys that you see speaking up the most about it, I'm not saying all of the guys that are against it, the guys you see speaking up the most, they went to Toledo Bend and caught, they caught 8 pounds, 10 pounds, for, each day over the 10 days. It doesn't matter if you had forward-facing sonar or not. That 10 pounds a day was never going to be competitive. So it's like they're using it as an excuse for not catching them.
Right.
And I have a problem with that. Like, they're saying, oh, well, I can't be competitive. And then you look at their weights and you're like, well, you never would have been competitive anyway catching them like that.
But what do the other people that were good with forward-facing sonar have the same weight without forward-facing sonar?
I think you would still have...
You would still have somebody pushing up a 20-pound bag, for sure.
On Toledo Bend, you would still have 30-pound bags.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, no, like, you wouldn't have as many people up there as top. But I'm not... That's also... We can't say that they wouldn't catch them because we've never seen them fish without it.
Yeah, we have.
Not the new guys, the forward-facing sonar guys.
Right.
Like, we've never fished. They might go out there and catch 30 pounds a day, without it. We don't know. So, I know that's why I don't get the opinion of what people have. Oh, these guys can only catch them with forward-facing sonar. I have a feeling that you could take any one of those 9 rookies who people consider the forward-facing sonar class.
I would love to test this.
Take any person from the comments that says they can only catch them on. Put those guys on that person's home lake, and they will mop the floor with that person.
I would love to test this though. Oh, look how we lost your thing somehow.
That's Chloe. She's all tangled.
Dingy, come here. Come on. Out. What, she pull it out of the freaking computer? Come here.
I don't think so. I think she just pulled it out of the lake. Let's just check. Oh. Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, you're back.
So, I have this gut feeling that, like, you could take, you take Ben Milliken, you take Wesley Gore, you take Trey McKinney, and you put them on this average Facebook hater lake. They're going to destroy that person on their home lake.
I don't think so.
I think they will.
I don't think Ben Milliken without forward-facing sonar is destroy. He's a great fisherman. He's better than anybody in our comment section. Yada 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 yada. I'm not saying
against other pros. I'm not saying against other pros. I meant like the average Facebook user.
Okay.
Like those guys that are saying that they can only catch them with forward-facing sonar. They'd suck if you took it away.
Wait, so you're talking about like me compared to Mike Duarte? Is that what you're talking about? Because Mike Duarte isn't an Elite Series fisherman.
No.
He fishes around here. He fishes competitive.
No.
Not local stuff, but he fishes
regional stuff.
Regionals. Yeah. You think I'm going to be competitive with Mike Duarte, whether I have forward-facing sonar or not?
I don't understand what you mean versus what I'm saying. I'm saying a top level pro, whether they have forward-facing sonar or not, is going to be better than the person in the comments telling them that they can't catch fish without forward-facing sonar.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes. John Cruz is going to fuck anybody in the ass.
Well, exactly.
In the comments that
Doesn't
says
matter.
he sucks at forward-facing sonar. Yes.
He's, like you see as, if you...
Is he even relevant in any of these conversations?
Honestly, you take anyone that's currently on the Elite Series, whether they are number 1 in Angler of the Year or they are number 98 in Angler of the Year, and they are going to fuck you up. Forward-facing sonar or not. Because they didn't make it there by not being able to fish with or without it. They may have made it there because they may have utilized it exclusively to get there. That doesn't mean they can. That's the only way they know how to catch them. That's what I think a lot of people need to understand about these guys.
I just liked it better without forward-facing sonar.
But why?
I just did.
Well, what is it that...
I don't like the nature of seeing the fish react to your bait and shit. I just feel like there was a different element of fishing that forward-facing sonar
how was that different from bed fishing?
You're sight fishing at that point. I'm talking about 2D fishing or side scan fishing.
But you're still seeing the fish.
When you're seeing bed fishing.
And you're seeing the fish.
When you're bed fishing.
So for a majority...
It's been like that forever.
So for a majority of...
But you're staring at them with your eyeballs, not electronics in 30 feet. It's different.
But the electronics don't tell... all the electronics do is provide information. You still have to...
They provide a lot of information to tell you how that bass in 30 feet is reacting to whatever bait you're throwing in its general vicinity.
But that's
which
where...
you could never tell before.
When we talk about limitations, I think that's where the limitation comes in, is when... It stops being that the person has to process that information and the unit starts processing the information for you. Like the unit's giving you a picture. You have to look at that. You have to decide, okay, is that a bass?
We are very close to that.
Is that, I know.
We are very close to that.
And that's scary. That's where...
We're very close to that.
And I think that's where you draw the line.
I think the line's already there, personally. That's my opinion.
Well, right. That's what, so if that's what's next, I think this is what's the line. I actually just heard, from a Garmin Pro. You'll find this funny. Forward-facing sonar is not what Garmin thinks is going to be the next big thing for them. The mapping that they have coming is going to be more of an impact on bass fishing than what forward-facing sonar was.
Mapping? Yeah. Just contours and navigation?
They couldn't give any details on it because it's not out yet.
Hey! Shut up!
There was a couple of things. So what if you let's say it takes Google Earth and it looks at all of those water levels, if they're mapping. And then
you could almost make like a farmer's almanac chart.
Right. So it takes all those water levels and all of those logs and all of those rock piles and all of those foundations that got exposed. All of them. Every single one on every single lake. There are no secret spots anymore. Now, granted, I could do that now. I could go through and I can manually
a rock
look through.
Or a log that not everybody knows about. No, unless they come out with something that's, oh my god.
When they're taking those drawdown levels,
dude, they're graphing and showing you where logs and rocks are at the same time.
So the idea that came from this is that you buy their map, you pop it in, and you essentially know every spot on that lake.
I don't like it.
Every rock pile, every piece of structure on that lake. And it was Kyle Patrick that was talking about it. He said, forward-facing sonar doesn't matter. If I know where there's 300 rock piles, that are in the depth of water that I'm looking, I'm gonna catch 5 4-pounders. If I know, if I don't have to I got 3 days of practice. If I don't have to side scan around and look for, if I'm using side scan, I might find 10 rock piles. That mapping chip is going to show me 300 rock piles. Like I'm catching. It don't matter. You could take live scope.
Like they take the competition, the easiness out of it. Like
right.
Even somebody like me could just drive down the lake and be like, "Hey, there's a rock pile now."
What you can
That's just like
you can do that now.
You can do that now with side scan,
but you have to put in the time. Right.
Exactly.
So you can put in the time, but
dude, if you're just rolling down the lake with your maps open, that is not something that was ever plausible before.
Right.
Now you're gonna roll down the lake 60 miles an hour with your maps open and be like, "Hey, there's a rock pile coming up here on our right."
Yeah, let's go check this one out.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy.
That's hypothetical. That's nothing official. But if it we have all this data from Google Earth where we can see those lakes draw, when they go to massive drawdowns for dam repairs or
and
stuff
Greg
like
says
that.
You still got to get them to bite, and I understand that. But if you can,
Greg,
run, if you can run down the lake, and
if
be
you
like,
know they're
boom,
on rock piles,
there's fish right here on this rock pile, and then go over to that rock pile with your forward-facing sonar,
even if you don't have
it,
even if you don't have it,
because you or don't.
If you
do have it, you can see how. Okay, say you throw a jerk bait out there, where you can see how the fish are reacting to your different cadences of your jerk bait.
But you see what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
Because now, if I know they're on rock piles,
it just sounds competitively like it's not.
I have 3,000 rock piles on here. It doesn't. If I have 3,000 rock piles, I'm getting 5 to bite. If I know that's what they're on.
Shut up, John.
If I know that's what they're on, if I've figured out the pattern, right, and I have 3,000 rock piles marked on Toledo Bend, I'm gonna get 5 bites. And that's what Kyle Patrick was saying. He's like, if I have all that information,
I'll throw an earthworm on my hook in there.
He's like, you can take forward facing sonar away. It doesn't matter anymore because I know if I fish enough of these rock piles, I'm going to get 5 of the right bites. It's just a matter of how many I can run in the day.
Yep.
And that's the same thing, and that's really what happens. Like if you look at like a summertime tournament on Eufaula, that's how they get won. It's brush pile fishing, though. The guys who know, where the brush piles are. Like they just know if I hit enough of these brush piles throughout the day, I'm going to catch 5 big ones. But so they know it's time management, and but they've put in the time to find those, and that's okay, because they've put in the time. Now it gets into a point where if like you release something like this and it shows you everything on the lake, that is way more impactful than what forward-facing sonar is, in my opinion. And that's what Garmin's saying.
I think that's gonna if that is the case and that does happen, it will be a lot more impactful.
Oh, for sure. But that's what from Kyle Patrick. That's what Garmin says that their next biggest thing, which they think is going to be bigger than LiveScope, is the mapping that they have coming.
They need to draw the line in electronics somewhere, and they are very damn close to it with forward-facing sonar right now.
So here's the other thing too. Like if we want this to continue to be a professional sport too, we also have to support these electronics companies because they put a lot of money into the sport.
Which is another reason why they will not ever kick the electronics out, is because the electronics are a massive sponsor of these fishing things.
They're part of the reason that we have professional fishing.
It's big money.
So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
We would like to limit it too, but if we limit it, then
we lose
them because they're going to start, if they start making less money, they can't put as much money back in. So it's a very slippery slope that they're headed for. I don't disagree. I think, like I said, my line is drawn. Once you get past the point of where the angler has to process the information, that's the line. Like you have, like, if anything past that, like if when your fish finder is telling you, that like you shine LiveScope on something and AI tells you that that's a bass or that's a walleye, that's we've went too far. So on that note,
We are at the 2 hours and 30-minute
Yeah.
mark. It's, when we talked earlier, it was like, hey, let's try to keep the show to like an
hour and a half.
Hour and a half. We have succeeded that by over an hour now.
That was a good show, though.
And it was a great show. High five.
Even if we yelled at each other.
Well, that's what makes a good show. I have a different opinion on forward-facing sonar than you do, and that's totally okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with having different opinions and having good, educated conversations on what we have going on. Greg, thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate it. Really enjoyed having you on here and your comments. Hope to see you on the next show.
Peace out, guys.
We will see you guys next time. Peace.